Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. My name is Preston Jacobs. We're going to be talking about some stuff tonight. Some ice and fire, anything you want. Here we are. Tonight, I'd like to talk about Dragon Skulls. After doing the most recent Dunk and Egg video, I got into a discussion with one of the commenters about Dragon Skulls, and it was very interesting. And I just kind of wanted to delve into that because it's by the way, like sometimes I get really frustrated with the wiki of Ice and Fire when there's like weird incorrect information on it, but like the skulls is one of those things. But this should be fun. I mean, obviously when George wrote that there were a bunch of dragon skulls underneath the Red Keep, that there were 19 skulls, he didn't really have any notion in his head who these dragons were or anything. He just wrote it. And so we're gonna figure out if there's any sort of logic to it, and I'm talking about like retcon logic, like not a logic that George was thinking of, but let's see if we can come up with a logic on who these 19 skulls were. And when I talk about the 19 skulls, let's start by talking about the information that we first get here. Let me open up my version of Game of Thrones, or I can use the search. Should we use the search? All right. So Tyrion in a Game of Thrones tells us about the 19 skulls. Okay, let's just use the search here. And this is what we're going to start with. Okay, here we go. There were 19 skulls. The oldest was more than 3,000 years old. The youngest a mere century and a half. The most recent were also the smallest, a matched pair no bigger than a mastiff's skull and oddly misshapen. All that remained of the last two hatchlings born on Dragonstone. They were the last of the Targaryen dragons, perhaps the last dragons anywhere, and they had not lived very long. From there, the skulls ranged upwards in size to the great three monsters of song and story, the dragons that Aegon Targaryen and his sisters had unleashed on the Seven Kingdoms of old. The singers had given them the names of gods, Balerion, Meraxes, Vhagar. Tyrion had stood between their gaping jaws, wordless and awed. You could have ridden a horse down Vhagar's gullet, though you wouldn't have ridden out again. Meraxes was even bigger, and the greatest of them, Balerion the Black Dread, could have swallowed an Arrak's whole, or even the hairy mammoth said to roam the cold waste beyond the port of Ibn. Now, clearly when George wrote this, he wasn't thinking, he hadn't come up with everything about the history of these dragons. He clearly has written one paragraph talking about the youngest, and then one paragraph talking about the oldest. But at the beginning, he says that the oldest was 3,000 years old. Now, this is a retcon or a mistake or something. Okay, I don't actually think that there is a 3,000-year-old skull beneath the Red Keep. Despite what the wiki might say and all of these things, okay, it doesn't make any sense. Like when people talk about the dragon skulls, no one brings up the 3,000-year-old skull, which would be the most fascinating skull. You'd be like, who the fuck is the 3,000-year-old skull? It would come up all the time. Instead, everyone's talking about Balerion, Meraxes, and Vhagar. Probably when he wrote this, Balerion was 3,000 years old, or he meant to say 300 years old, or something. It's very clear in the structure that the way the paragraphs are written, these are the youngest and the sickly ones and pathetic, while the old ones, the ones of legend and story and song, they go up in size to them, and Balerion is the greatest of them all. It's very, to have a mid-sized 3,000-year-old skull in the middle of that just doesn't fit the structure at all. But nonetheless, we'll keep the 3,000 skull in our memory here, even though there's clearly no 3,000-year-old skull. This was a mistake or a retcon. Okay, so we got 19 skulls. Now the problem with this is we have a lot more dragons than 19. Okay, so let's actually figure that out. Okay, let's pull out our let's pull out our paper and figure it out. Okay, so let's try to zoom this in so I can. Let's figure out who the skulls would be, logically speaking. Not that George even has thought about who the skulls are. He hasn't, but let's just, for our own sake, try to figure it out. Okay, so we are told quite clearly that we got Balerion. Balerion? I'm going to spell things wrong, so just Vagar, Meraxes. And then we're told about Hatchling 1, Hatchling 2. Those are the ones we're sure of. And then you can maybe be like, we'll put down here at the bottom, like 3,000-year-old skull. Come on. Really? Okay. So we at least got this. This is we know. Okay, so next, what is probable? Well, we got some other skulls here. Okay, so we know that Aenar Targaryen flew to Dragonstone with 5 dragons, including Balerion. So we've got down here, and I'm going to put this down here because I don't think we're going to put Aenar skull 1, Aenar skull 2, and so forth. Even though, but these are all last seen though on Dragonstone, all of these. Okay, and that's kind of an important detail, is that if you have a skull, and it's large, are you going to put it on a ship and bring it to King's Landing? Right, that's kind of a pain in the butt, which also makes the 3,000-year-old skull, come on, really a difficult thing to think about. Like, they put that really valuable skull on a ship that could sink or whatever. It was huge. They hauled that on just to put in the throne room. Maybe, I don't know. All right, next is, if we're talking about dragons, the next one is Quicksilver. Quicksilver is Aegon the Uncrowned's dragon, Aegon 1.5, sometimes I call him. Quicksilver, he was killed near the God's Eye. But the idea is that, like, would it be that difficult for them to haul that dragon skull back to King's Landing? Probably not, And then, so maybe Quicksilver. Maybe he was, would they really just have left that dragon in the middle of the wilderness to rot, or would they taken the skull? Would Maegor the Cruel do that? I don't know. After Quicksilver, who are our next dragons? Let's talk about. Let's see. The next one we really talk about is Dreamfire, right? Dreamfire is killed in the Dragon Pit in King's Landing. So Helena's dragon. So Dreamfire. Then we get what? Vermithor and Silverwing, right? And Vermithor and Silverwing are Jaehaerys and Alysanne's dragons. And Vermithor is killed at Tumbleton. And Silverwing is kind of missing at the end of the Dance of the Dragons, last seen at Red Lake, I believe. Okay, so after that, we're getting Meleys, who's killed at Rook's Rest, but then specifically we're told is brought to King's Landing in Fire and Blood. Okay, so then we get Caraxes, which is at the God's Eye as well, but recovered. And then we have, let's see some. Then we've got we've got Cyrax. Cyrax is killed in King's Landing during the riots, right? Am I getting that correct? And then what we're talking. Well, let's just do the Jace, Luke, and Joffrey's dragons. We've got what? Arax, Vermax, and Taraxes, right? Right? I'm getting these. So Arax is killed in Storm's End. And then Vermax lost at sea. All right. We know that Vermax is not there. Right? Vermax lost at sea. Okay. Taraxes, he's killed in King's Landing, storming the Dragon Pit. All right. Then some other ones. We're talking Stormcloud. He makes it to Dragonstone before he's killed. And then we've got Sunfire dies on Dragonstone. And then we've got Moondancer also dies on Dragonstone. And then we got Grey Ghost. Grey Ghost also dies on Dragonstone. Oof, man, we got a lot. We got a lot of. We're already past. We've already hit 19, 20, 21, 22. All right, 24. We've got Sea Smoke. Sea Smoke dies at Tumbleton. And then we've got Tessarion. Tessarion dies at Tumbleton. And we've got Vermithor. Wait a minute, we already did Vermithor. Anybody else? Oh, right. The tiny ones. Morgul. Jaehaera and Jaehaerys' little things. Morgul and Sheercoast both die in the Dragon Pit, right? So and then we've got a few missing here. Okay, and then there's a bunch that we don't know what happened to them. So we're like, Vermax lost at sea. Mourning is last seen at Dragonstone. We don't know how Mourning dies or anything, but Mourning is last seen at Dragonstone. Vermax lost at sea. Sheep Stealer is vanished. Cannibal vanished. And then we have one more dragon, and that is Arlen of Pennytree's dragon. Now, one of the things that's really frustrating about the wiki of Ice and Fire is that somebody put in that these hatchlings, one of these hatchlings could be the last dragon that um, that Arlen of Pennytree sees, and it's just no, like no. There's a clear error in the text in that Tyrion says that Hatchling 1 and Hatchling 2 are the last dragons, and then in the Hedge Knight we find out no, the last dragon was not a hatchling. That last dragon had laid clutches of eggs that never hatched. So there's just an error, but we're gonna say that 29 is Arlen's dragon. Okay. I mean, this is not to mention there's just hundreds of hatchlings, right? So I think, do I have everybody? I will see. Okay. Let's see. So now here's my theory on all of this. Okay, going back to our list of dragons. Okay, so clearly we're way over 19 skulls by far. Okay. So this is what I think is I'm gonna start thinking about. Here's the theory that transporting dragon skulls over land is easier than popping dragon skulls on a ship. And so my theory is all of the dragon skulls that are on Dragonstone stayed on Dragonstone. And that there is actually a separate whole other room on Dragonstone filled with dragon skulls. This is my theory. Now, there is a scene there is a little thing that is a little against this, and I'll bring it up, where I think Stannis talks about the skulls, and he says, he's talking about the dragon, waking from stone. And he said, oh, the red woman sleep. Okay. It was wondrous to see the stone come to light. He admitted grudgingly to mount a dragon. I remember the first time my father took me to court. Robert had to hold my hand. I could not have been older than 4, which would have made him 5 or 6. We agreed afterwards that the king had been noble as the dragons were fearsome, Stannis snorted. Years later, our father told us that Aerys had cut himself on the throne that morning, so the hand that had taken his place was actually Tywin Lannister. It was Tywin Lannister who impressed us. His fingers touched the surface of the table, tracing the path lightly over the vanished hill. Robert took the skulls down when he donned the crown, but he could not bear to have them destroyed. Dragon wings over Westeros. There would be such a... Now, it's not explicit here. Like, obviously, this is Stannis' first viewing of dragon skulls, and his first viewing is going to be in King's Landing. He doesn't become Lord of Dragonstone until after the rebellion. But his awe in remembering the dragon skulls in King's Landing, it kind of implies that the dragon skulls are only in King's Landing. Had he been sitting, in an actual castle filled with dragon skulls where they were in some freaking room, you think it would come up. So I admit it's not a soundproof theory, okay? But my theory here, if we're going on trying to make it fit as best as we can, okay, is the dragon skulls that require putting dragon skulls on ships is too difficult. So we're going to move Stormcloud. Stormcloud died on Dragonstone, and say that there is a separate room. Sunfire, Dragonstone. Moondancer, Dragonstone. Grey Ghost. Grey Ghost is a little weird because they forbid anyone to go to Grey Ghost because Grey Ghost was kind of near Cannibal's lair. And so I don't know if Grey Ghost was ever retrieved. You'd think that they would, but nonetheless. Einar's skulls. Let's pull them all to Dragonstone. Morning is last on Dragonstone. And at the time, Aegon III did not want to see dragons. And so in order to like keep the dragon from being seen, Morning was kept on Dragonstone. So I'm just going to say that Morning at some point died on Dragonstone. Okay. Which means we are left with I'm gonna have to renumber these. 14, 15. Tumbleton dragons make it back. Shurkos makes it back. And then the problem is we're still over Arlen's dragon. However, one more thing. I got one more dragon here. Red Lake, where Silverwing has this lair, is the power outage. Hopefully that doesn't affect the us. And then, so Red Lake is going to be, we're going to move Silverwing. Silverwing doesn't make it back because no one wanted to put Silverwing skull on a big boat. And so we're now left with the perfect number of 19. Now we're left with the perfect number of 19 if we assume that Silverwing is still on Red Lake. Now, there's a few things here, though. You know, again, maybe you don't believe it. This is even leaving the 3,000-year-old skull and Arlen's dragon. It's all there. Everybody else, Hatchling 1, Hatchling 2, Quicksilver is brought from the God's Eye, Dreamfire, Storming the Dragon Pits, Vermithor is brought from Tumbleton, Melis is brought to King's Landing, Caraxes is pulled from the God's Eye, Cyrax, King's Landing, Arax pulled from Storm's End, Taraxes, the 3,000-year-old skull, fine. This, Taraxes is Joffrey's dragon. Sea Smoke, Tessarian, Morgul, Sugar, Arlen's dragon. That's 19. And I'm even given the 3,000 fucking year old skull. Jesus. Ugh. However, Vermax lost at sea, Sheepstealer vanished, Cannibal Stant vanished, and then the rest of these guys, Silverwings at Red Lake. But this means there is a room at Dragonstone with 9, maybe 8 if they didn't get Grey Ghost, because they kind of said not to go get Grey Ghost, but 9. There is a room at Dragonstone that is 9 dragon skulls in it. That is and whatever, 1 million hatchling skulls or whatever, a big pile or whatever. There's no real why they brought the hatchlings to King's Landing is a big mystery. The 3,000-year-old skull is a big mystery. Why both Arlen's dragons and the hatchlings are called the last dragons is a big mystery. But for the most part, there's your answer. These are the 19. These are the 19 dragon skulls that are in King's Landing, and everybody else, they're stuck. They're on Dragonstone or at Red Lake or vanished somewhere else. So that's the work. That's the work that we're doing. Did George think about any of this? No, absolutely not. Of fucking course he didn't. But that is retroactively what we got. Let's see. Fucking dragon skulls, man. All right, what we got now? If George R. R. Martin hasn't solved the Winds of Winter Not by now, he can't. Yeah, I very much agree with that. I think that what do I think is really going on with George is that, yeah, I believe he has legitimately written 1,100 pages, or maybe even 1,200. I think that the problem is they're probably written in the same writing style as Feast and Dance, which means the plot is going too slowly and we're nowhere close to any sort of resolution or good ending point for a book, which is a serious problem. I think he is really, really busy with other things. I think he has personal issues that take a lot of his time. And so I think that, and when you have all of those things together, like other business things that take your time, personal issues that slow you down, a situation where you've written a lot of pages, but you haven't really advanced the plot very much. And just the fact that it's just like, it's so overwhelming. It's such a huge project. There's so many characters. It's hard to keep them straight. I mean, dealing with the fanfic, there's stuff that there's stuff that I forget, and one editor all of a sudden is like, I think, and you're like, oh, right. And it's like, we have younger minds who are probably just as obsessed as George is over this universe. And it's hard for us to keep it all straight. It would be I think it's just impossible for George. One person, I mean, I don't mean, George specifically in a sort of like denigrating way, but I mean like one person to keep it straight. It's really fucking hard. So yeah, no, I don't think The Winds of Winter is ever coming out, but we can always hope. It would be great if it did. It's interesting to have the Endworld Zealots finally arrive at the Wall and Winds. Their numbers severely diminished to then witness Jon's resurrection. I do wonder if this was the original plan. Now, George doesn't. I mean, it's never specifically said that the Zealots are sent to the Wall, but what happens in Clash is that Tyrion arrests a bunch of Endworld Zealots, and then Alistair Thorne arrives and asks for people for the Wall, and Tyrion sends a bunch of dudes. He empties out the black cells and sends them. And the only payoff to that is Janis Slint arriving. And not that whatever was planned there in Clash. So I think maybe the plan was like, oh yes, I'm going to have all these religious zealots show up at the Wall, and then they're going to follow Jon when Jon resurrects. Power outage again. I think that very well may have been the case, but we'll see what these zealots do. I mean, the thing is he has other zealots now. He's got followers of the Red God, and stuff like that. So he doesn't necessarily need them. Just like he didn't need them in King's Landing when the Sparrows arrived or anything like that. He can create new zealots pretty easily out of thin air. It's fine. But and my bird outside my window here in the Dominican Republic. So it will be interesting. They will show up in the fanfic. The zealots are going to be at Eastwatch by the Sea. We are going to see them in the Davos chapter. They're going to be part of the plot. So, I have not forgotten about the Endworld Zealots, but the Endworld Zealots, realistically, George would never write about the Endworld Zealots again. Like, if he were, he would have hinted at them here and there. Had a couple show up at Castle Black. Whereas Diziel Dalt in the fanfic new chapters, well, Diziel Dalt, and I really like the character. He's super dry and sarcastic and very funny. But it was established that Darkstar does not trust Dalt at all, because of Dre, and he knows that both of them are trying to marry Arianne, and he doesn't trust him, so they would not come with him on this trip, on Hota and Darkstar's buddy trip to rescue Myrcella. They said that essentially Diziel is going to be ransomed, but there is a question of like, will he show up again? I do have an idea on him showing up again, and that is the plan is to have Aaron wash up or get picked up by some Danes and brought to Starfall. And so the Damphair will be in Starfall. And so there's a question of maybe if Desiel is getting ransomed, he would pass through Starfall at some point and on his way to head back to Lemonwood or something. But and that he could possibly show up in the story in there. But yeah, I have a notion on that Aaron is going to show up at Starfall, reveal more important information there, but he has a very important role to play as the story goes forward, and he's going to do something very important there. So it's he needs to make it there. But should Dalt be there? I don't have anything for Dalt to do, but he could just show up just for the sake of showing up, So, hi, and Mel wanted to Dance with Dragons. She stares into the flames and sees John, a man, a wolf, then a man again. Isn't that strong foreshadowing for his resurrection? I mean, that's what a lot of fans think when they see it. Sure, it's pretty. It depends how obvious George wanted to be about that. We kind of all sense that John is going to spend some time in Ghost. I mean, we've got the entire prologue about second lives and things like that. So, I don't think anybody disagrees with this idea that, considering that John's last words are Ghost and we have a whole prologue about a second life. So, is that foreshadowing of that? Maybe, probably. There's a couple things wrong with it. One, Melisandre always refers to John as a boy. He's not a man. He's a boy. And so that's kind of a weird thing, is that it's a man, a wolf, and then a man again. Now, maybe man is being used in a general sense, like a person. But John is very clearly a boy to Melisandre, and she calls him a boy. The boy commander of the Night's Watch. For him to suddenly be a man is kind of weird. But we're obviously supposed to think that. The thing is, George has obvious prophecies and he has subtle prophecies. Like the Ghost of High Heart's prophecies are overwhelmingly obvious, right? I saw a fish floating and then its eyes opened and we were all scared. And you're like, yeah. Okay. There's a girl with serpents in her hair. And you're like, yeah, okay. We all know what this is. And then there's ones that like patch face prophecies where you're like, what are you fucking talking about? Under the sea, people eat starfish. You're like, what the fuck what does that mean? No one knows. So, a man, a wolf, a man again. It could be something else. But then I think someone wrote, one of the other comments was, aren't all wargs man, wolf, man? Isn't that Tuesday for wargs? That's true, So it could be any warg is man, wolf, man. But who knows? If you could give A Feast for Crows an epilogue, who would it be? That's an interesting question, because if you're choosing an epilogue for A Feast for Crows, it has to thematically fit with the rest of the book. So you can't just suddenly be like, oh, we need an epilogue of Benjen, or something like that, because that's not part of the story, right? The part of the story is, things related to Sam and Old Town and Dorne and the Iron Islands and Cersei and Jaime, right? And Brienne. So an epilogue would need to really be about some of those characters. So I think I'm trying to think where action is in those stories where we need to kind of figure out what's going on. I mean, you could, maybe, as I said, maybe, somebody traveling with Jane Westerling or something. Maybe that Forley Prester would be a good one. Maybe Eric Ironmaker on the Iron Isles would be a good choice, or one of Maester Calliote or somebody else like in Dorne would be a very good choice on just areas that we don't know about that we could get, shed some light on mysterious stories. Like we don't really know what Doran is doing, what Doran is up to. And another character who's been with him many years would be able to shed light on that. Like what's the deal with the letter that he left for Arianne, that Arianne read that said like, that I'm going to leave everything to Quentin. Was that real? Was that fake? Like somebody like Maester Calliote could enlighten us, or, something like that. That would be nice, or anybody at Starfall, somebody in Dorne, but at Starfall, a Dark Star, okay, I've answered my own question now. Yeah, no, it's Dark Star. Dark Star would be the best epilogue of A Feast for Crows. Absolutely. Hands down. Dark Star. Because now you're dealing with, he can unlock all of the secrets of the Danes, tell us about Ashara, anything like that. Tell us about the history of Dawn and anything. And he can talk about what's going on with Doran Martell. He could reveal like the secrets of like why he ran away, whether he's innocent. He's kind of waiting on people to get him. Dark Star hands down would be the best. He has the most to say. Like I could say like Eric Ironmaker would be interesting and all, but is what's happening on the Iron Islands that important, or Maester Calliote might have some information on Doran, but like would he reveal it? Like how much does he know? He seems kind of clueless. And of course like we kind of do get the Cersei epilogue, with Kevin, so it can't really be King's Landing. So I think, yeah, no, Dark Star hands down would have been the perfect epilogue for A Feast for Crows. That would have been clutch, man. We would have had, and it just like massive reveals and just everything. Oh man, Dark Star. Why don't dragons just drop rocks from 5,000 feet up? I mean, there's a lot of things that the dragons could do to totally kill everybody. I mean, they can flame everybody from too high up anyway, too. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the fact that like somehow the Dornish were able to defeat them by hiding in caves or whatever is ridiculous. Like, I think I've talked about this before about if you guys ever played Dungeons and Dragons, there's an old magazine that used to be about Dungeons and Dragons called Dragon Magazine. And Dragon Magazine used to write articles about everything but the play, the gameplay and everything. And one article I remember was entitled, it was something of like a kobold a kobold with a longbow is stronger than a 25th level mage, which was like, and the reason is because the longbow has a longer range than the mage's spells. So like the mage can be doing spells all day long, but he's not going to reach the kobold who has a longbow who can just shoot him in the head. And mages are pretty weak. I mean, physically. So like, why would the dragon, like there's no way any of those scorpions or ballistas or anything are going very far into the air. They're just not going that far up. They're going at most 50 feet, 100 feet. There's no way they're going that far. So the dragon just has to be slightly above and just flame everybody and be fine. The dragons are unstoppable. It's ridiculous. And yes, they could pick up rocks with their mouth, fly over and just drop them on the people doing ballistas. And you're absolutely right. They're OP'd and they have to like invent reasons. They have to invent kryptonite here and there because like it's Superman, right? You have to invent the kryptonite and reasons, or you have to we always talk about it. You have to Professor X him. In X-Men, like the joke is Professor X is too powerful to have on any of the missions because he could just solve all of the X-Men's problems. So he like Professor X is always like in a coma or he's in space with the Spelljammers, or whatever. You're just like he's never there, but because you can't have him there. He's just Jesus, what's happening tonight with the power outages? Hi Preston, am I just crazy, or does it feel like just Jacaerys should be Kristen Cole's, hey Crispin, illegitimate son by Rhaenyra? Thanks always, you're the best. Um, I certainly think that what they've set up in the show with Rhaenyra getting the moon tea and then you don't see her drinking it sets up that possibility. Like it's just, you could have her drink it. You could have her drinking it and then it wouldn't be a question, But they clearly wanted the question, right? Or else they would have had her drink it. So they wanted us to think that maybe it's Kristen Cole's. Now it's weird because in the source material, it's like which source material? There's like not really any opportunity because there's none of the sources in neither Mushroom nor Septon nor the Septon. Am I forgetting the Septon? Fuck! I can't believe I forgot the Septon's name. Neither the Maester nor the Septon nor the Mushroom actually says that they had sex. In Fire and Blood. Fire and Blood, the romance between Rhaenyra and Kristen it becomes unrequited, either one way or the other, but it's unrequited. While the rumor from A Feast for Crows, the original, is that there was a romance. And so the show actually included the romance from the original A Feast for Crows. So yeah, I feel like it should. It should. Like I feel that like it makes it a more interesting story. Somebody once said like it's the most interesting story is that they're all three different fathers. That like the one's Harwin Strong's, one's Laenor's, and one's Kristen's, But the show then says like, Rhaenyra just confesses that they're all Harwins, which is, or at least she thinks that they're all Harwins, or maybe she lied to Daemon. She could have lied to Daemon. Why not lie to Daemon? I mean, Daemon might be like, huh, that's weird. It's one thing when like Laenor's dead. You can be like, yeah, they're all Laenor's. But yeah. So I feel like it makes a better story. And they definitely left themselves the opportunity because they didn't show her drinking the tea. Hey Preston, love the call out for the Bard. Can your subscribers do a conclave as a poll or live stream to decide the new Grand Maester for the fanfic? I never thought that I understand that like Quinn the GM did a video on it recently, but the Grand Maester should be Gorman, right? Like there's no one to really stop them. Like Gorman was the one that was going to be picked before, and he was only stopped because the Lannisters didn't like him, and now there's no Lannisters to really stop them, so they should really just pick Gorman again, right? A Tyrell sympathizer. I don't know if anyone else would be in the running. Like, why would they pick anybody else? Why would Mace Tyrell in his power not pick Gorman? I mean, I'm even missing something. Like, does Randall Tarley have somebody that he wants instead? But there's no one in King's Landing that could, really stop that. I mean, unless like, Gorman gets halfway, he's on his horse, he gets halfway, and then Lady Nim on the small council is like, I don't want this guy or something. I don't want a Tyrell. We got too many Tyrells. I want Callio. Who knows? But again, I haven't watched the videos about this, but I don't understand. It seems like Gorman is the obvious choice. I don't know who would be competing with him, but maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see. I mean, I'll have to, John. I'll look for other posts from you, but it's like who is in the running besides Gorman? Where were you on 9/11? I was in Washington D.C. I was in grad school and I was late for class because of traffic, and there's 10 minutes between the first plane and the second plane. And I remember listening to the radio, and they announced that the World Trade Center has been hit by a plane. And for 10 minutes, they start going into like the history of of planes hitting buildings, and they're like, oh, in the 1930s, a plane hit the Empire State Building, and things like this. Like it's really weird stuff because they didn't know it was a terrorist attack, and they didn't have any footage of the plane hitting. And so everything was just this news of like, oh gosh, a plane hit the World Trade Center. And they're like, well, what do we put? Like, what do we talk about? Especially it's the radio. You can't show the burning building. And so it was just like people like them. It was really weird talking about the history of planes hitting skyscrapers. And then the second one hit, and everyone kind of realized it was a terrorist attack. And then I get in, and like I wait until class is over, and people come out, and I tell people, and everybody thinks I'm like joking, and I'm like, "Grr." And I remember I had a class right after, and we had it. I went to the class, and it was really weird because a buddy of mine, his father sometimes worked in the Pentagon on some days, and he was like really worried. He like had to leave and things like that. But yeah, I was in Washington D.C. But that was it. And then I remember, watching on a TV in like a conference room, and then decided to drive home to my parents' house in Baltimore. And I remember there was just no traffic. Like it was just me on the highway. And the signs, how they have those signs above the highway that say like traffic, things like that. It just said major incident, avoid New York. And it's probably the fastest trip to Baltimore I'd ever had in my life. It was just nobody on the road. Very surreal kind of thing. But that's where I was. The others are a breakaway civilization that lived on the moon and returned to Planetos to counteract genetic bottlenecking. What Moen is talking about here is a story that George wrote called Dark World, The Tunnels, where you've got two human civilizations, one that lives on the moon. And this is post-apocalyptic. There's been apocalypse on Earth, and so the moon civilization kind of survived. But there wasn't that many people on the moon, just kind of like a small number of scientists and stuff. And meanwhile, on Earth, a small number of people have like survived underground, heavily mutated. But these guys come from the moon to Earth and kind of admit that like they don't have enough, like their civilization is stagnant. There's something called population bottlenecking, when there's too much inbreeding, so people aren't having enough children to cause the population to expand. And so they kind of need new genetic material. And so like if they found any human beings on Earth, like it would be, and the same thing's happening to the people in the tunnels, and they're dealing with like worms attacking them. And if the two civilizations just have to meet and work it out, and of course it doesn't. But yeah, so yes, could the others be from the moon and they returned in order to end their genetic bottlenecking. I mean, I think, I certainly had the theory of that, and I had a bunch of videos on that from years ago about that the others have a genetic bottlenecking situation and that they're looking for babies and such. But I don't know. In retrospect, I don't know if like they have sexual reproduction. Like it just sounds like they take babies, and maybe that's the reason that if they had non-inbred babies, maybe they could do sexual reproduction, but they can't. So I don't know. But where are these female others? I mean, other than the story of the Night King and such, that they just keep getting inbred babies from Craster, who can't produce much. Hold on a second. Oh, somebody brought up a really good point here, and this is also something that's been retconned. It was where was it? The singers named the dragons. That's the funny thing, right? Because going back, it doesn't say that the dragons were named after Aegon, Visenya, or Rhaenys. It says there were 19. The skulls ranged in size. The singers had given them the names of the gods: Balerion, Meraxes, Vhagar. Tyrion had stood. Yeah. So that's a kind of interesting thing that they say. But why would the singers know who the Valyrian gods were? Like it's such a weird kind of thing. Like you'd think like Westeros singers would name something weird, something more Westerosy, right? Like, I mean, imagine for a moment that from China, like 3 big dragons are ridden in by some foreigners, and would Americans research old Chinese gods and like name the dragons like after Chinese gods? Doesn't seem likely, like we'd be pretty dumb. We'd be like, no, we're gonna name them Big Bird and Barbie and Barney, like there'll be that, it wouldn't be, they wouldn't be so like, I'm gonna look up the research on this. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Shu Wei, like for whatever, Why didn't the show adapt the books correctly, whereas the food descriptions, half of the books is food descriptions? You are right that of the things that they adapted, they chose to really lean into the sex worker thing. Not that there aren't sex workers appearing in Ice and Fire, but the sex workers and nudity appears a lot more in the show than it does in the books. And as for food, I don't know if there's much in terms of like delectable, delicious food that we get anything on. I think this has to do with filming. Like, when you film a scene, you're filming it over many hours sometimes. And the food is just going to sit out and congeal and not look great. And so really like, filming food is a whole, and taking pictures of food is an entire art in and of itself. I mean, often they use fake food when they film food because real food actually doesn't look that great. Like real food in pictures, we all know this. We like look up a restaurant or something, and the pictures that people have taken don't necessarily look great, despite the fact that I understand that also people love to whatever Instagram their breakfasts or whatever, but it tends to be like a lot of times food doesn't look that great, even if it tastes great, or at least it doesn't look that great in a picture. Filming food is really difficult. You just don't see it very much in movies, even though it's a very, very important part of the story, right? Mm-hmm. Seven Kingdoms is like, yeah. Oh, why, hello, Mr. Explainer. How are you? Let me
Hi, I'm doing good. Hey, Preston, how are
let me
you?
give you a box.
Oh,
What's been happening?
oh, nothing much. I've been out of town for a bit, but yeah, I
Okay.
wanted to call in. I wanted to thank you for making this video because this is something that I think I did years ago. Like I think
Oh,
when we were
really?
doing, yeah, yeah. Like I don't remember what I said, like, but I know that like when we were doing the read through of like not Hot D, what's the book called? Fire and Blood.
Yeah, yeah,
We were
yeah.
doing like chapter by chapter. I got to the point where they were talking about Caraxes and Vagar's death, like the Battle of the God's Eye, and it just really stuck out to me that like it was weird, like because they put in a detail about like oh they dredged the lake or whatever. They
Right.
got chains to like drag the dragons out, and I'm like oh the whole point of that is because they have to explain first like the sword, how the sword got back, and then how the heads ended up in the
Oh,
throne room.
right. Well, if they even did. I mean, apparently, I guess they did. But like I say, we've got way too many skulls at this point. Way too many.
There's a I saw a video on YouTube recently. It was one of those like AI like Game of Thrones channels where like they just have like a text to speech do, and it was like the biggest dragons bigger than Balerion, and it was like all these like names I've like never heard of before. It was like Giscarion and like
Oh, they just like made it up with regards to like AI.
I think so, or like they took like the speech that Viserys gives in like the bathtub in like the show where
Mm.
he like just makes up a whole bunch of dragon names, and they took that as like that's canon material right there, and they're like they're bigger than Balerion, they're even more impressive. It was such BS. Let me see if I can find it. I was like, oh my gosh.
The yeah, I mean this is getting off into another tangent, but like I do kind of feel there's this theory about the dead internet theory. And the dead internet theory and I don't think it'll affect you or me because we actually like do real honest to god research and content like based on like legitimate facts and sources. But it's
Mm,
amazing to me how much of the internet is now just filled with hearsay. And like the AI, like what now when you Google stuff and the AI comes up, the AI will now say something wrong based on hearsay. Like it now drudges information from like Reddit and it drudges information from like posts and stuff like that and Twitter. And so if enough people say something that's not true, it now becomes the AI truth. So
it is concerning. Yeah, look, I just found it. It's like
yeah.
Targaryen dragons more powerful than Balerion. It says Giscar, Valerion, Essioceus, and Arcanini, something like they're just like made. And there's Vermithrax, which is like the dragon from what's that? The Dragon Slayer movie.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's just
Which
making
kind of
stuff
like
up.
seems like inspiration because of the axe on the end. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
so
But that,
funny.
I appreciated you taking the time to like painstakingly go through like
Oh yeah, well,
because fans don't like to show that there's contradictions. They're like, no, there's no contradiction.
yeah. I mean, it's funny. Fucking 3,000-year-old dragon head, and like two different people talking about the last dragon. You're like, well, which is the last dragon? Oh. But yeah, yeah. Um, I got into a so my in my most recent dunk video as well. Like, I said in there like a fairly like accepted fact that like generally speaking, there's not much economic mobility. Like rich people die rich, poor people die poor. Apparently, there's this right wing, like completely unsubstantiated rumor going around that 75% of millionaires are self made. You know, and you're like,
What?
right. And this was posted like not just once, but like a few times by different weirdos, like on my
In your
comments.
comment section?
Yeah, and I just deleted them. I'm just like, I don't want to get into an argument over this. But like, I was just like, where does this come from? So I like Googled it, and they're like, oh, it comes from like this guy had a radio show where he had listeners do a poll, and if they were millionaires, say whether or not they inherited their wealth, and 75% of the respondents said that they were self-made, that they didn't
It's
inherit
totally
their wealth.
unbiased. That's a good survey.
Right. Well, there's that aspect, but then there's also like stepping back, people don't inherit wealth when they're young. Like you inherit wealth when both of your parents die. So if you're going to be inheriting wealth, it's going to be like when both of your parents kick the bucket in their 80s and you are in your mid 50s. All right. So at that point, so that's not how like the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor. It's not from inheritance. It's not from like someone handing you a bunch of cash. It's from the fact that like your parents raised you in a house and paid for all of your expenses and paid for your schooling and then paid for your college and then like gave you some money so you could like, you know, here and there on the side so you could like buy an apartment in the city and that kind of stuff. Like it's this helping you through the system kind of aspect that all that wealth allows you to do versus somebody that doesn't have that, you know? But also like being also like $1 million, like whether that $1 million, like whether you're rich with $1 million depends on how old you are. Like if you are as well, like if you are retiring age, like 65 and you have $1 million, like that's nothing. Like you're never going to have any income again. Like you're going to live another 20 years. That means you have $50,000 a year, I mean, plus whatever interest for the rest of your life, you know, like, oh, being a millionaire, like isn't really like, but if you're 20, $1 million, yeah, fuck yeah, $1 million, you know? So there's like these huge factors on this. Plus like, how do you even like calculate wealth? Like calculating wealth is impossible. Like, what do you say? Like, does your university degree have a value? You know, like, because clearly it has a value, but if you're saying like, how much are you worth? You never put like, oh yes, university degree, even though like clearly that university degree is very valuable, you know? So, anyway. Okay.
I love that when you look at like claims, then the source is like basically made it up.
I know. And the fact that I had several people like post this, like, no, Preston, there's actually lots of economic mobility in America. And you're like, oh my God, like, oh my God. Anyway, Catalan and Ariane use 1,000 years pretty loosely. Sometimes some of it's retcon, but it could just be a turn of phrase that gets abused. Yeah, 1,000 years just means long time in Ice and Fire. It doesn't literally mean 1,000 years. Like unfortunately, there's a point in which somebody's talking about the werewood at Raventree Hall, which is dead, and someone said, like, some guy is like, oh, it was poisoned 1,000 years ago, and in another 1,000 years it may be turned to stone, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh, it takes 2,000 years and for werewoods to petrify. And it's like, no, like, no, that wasn't, no, like, no, like, seriously. And so when people are talking about like, oh, and then Naga's ribs, like, they're stone and petrified.
They're werewolves.
No, like, that's not what he meant. That's not how petrification works. Like, Things
Well, you
don't
also have like the
turn to
layer of
stone.
like,
Like,
does George understand how petrification works versus
no,
like,
I don't think
yeah,
so.
it's
Um,
so hard.
so I used to live in this house with a bunch of geologists, and so I specifically asked them, like, hey, about Naga's ribs. I'm like,
Hmm.
could there be like petrified like wood like on these islands? And the first thing was like, you've picked perhaps the worst like geography for petrification. Okay, like that's like by an ocean. Like really? Like what? Like things don't get petrified like right next to the ocean. Things get petrified when there's like a like a like a hot stream, like a geothermal stream near
Hmm.
something, because you have to like, it has to be something that's pulling um, sedimentary materials up to fill the actual like cells of the tree and have it like get replaced over time. And so, and you've got to be in an environment where like the tree isn't going to be like rotted away or whatever. So like, obviously like the ocean is going to be horrible because you've got all these things like salt destroy, like bursting all of the cells, and like fish and rot and all the things that happen to the sea. And there's nothing really bringing this like the sediment from in the earth and all this different stuff. But like, that's the thing, is petrification isn't something turning to stone. It's
It's
being
like a mold.
replaced. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a fossil where fossil's not actually like the bone. It's like
Right.
it's replaced where the bone once was. It's closer to like a mold, I guess.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. So yeah, the even when Arion like goes into the cave and finds the faces from like the children of the forest, she says, they say, "Oh, this was long ago," and she says 1,000 years ago. And you're like, well, clearly it was longer than 1,000 years ago. Clearly it was like 5 to 8, 10,000 years ago, not 1,000 years ago. It just means a long time ago, 1,000 years ago. That's all it means in both ways.
Hmm.
So, you know, um, oh yeah, Cyrex does die while hunting down Sub-Zero. That's true. Cyrex is a character from Mortal Kombat as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
See, I'm so weird. I heard Sub-Zero and I thought of the Running Man with
Oh,
Arnold
he was
Schwarzenegger.
Sub-Zero. Now he's Plane Zero.
Yeah, yeah, I love that line so much. It's such a great quote.
um, in theory, wouldn't the first point of view finished for each book serve as a major keystone for the structure and timeline? Do you know the first POV is finished? So the only one that George has said might be finished is Tyrion. And then but even then, it's like, well, how truthful is he on that? Um, but the problem is that Tyrion is not near the other characters. And then George has also said that he's written enough material to for a novella with Arya. Believe what you will, but again, the character is not near anybody else. So it doesn't
Hmm.
matter if George has like finished Tyrion and Arya, because all the other characters are in Westeros, and those are the ones that are like having a hard time like intertwining and everything. So it's yeah, it should like serve as some sort of like keystone. I find with like the fanfic though, it's like you start going and then you realize, oh shit, I wrote something and another character should have known that had happened, and it
Hmm.
wasn't mentioned, and you're like, fuck. Like, and with the fanfic, it's like, it's published, it's done, it's out, so it's like you can't go back, but I guess George can go back and like add stuff in. Um, like the line about in a Game of Thrones when he's talking about the imp. Um, Uh,
I was thinking about the stuff with Cat, where he had to add in like Ned Stark going like, "Oh shit, Cat has Tyrion,"
right. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. The small council scene. He has this whole small council scene,
No.
and then he just kind of tacks in there at the end, like, "Oh right, yes, Cat has the imp." It's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have fucking quit his hand, motherfucker. Oh my god, you suck. Cat should divorce you, man. That is
Oh,
first
you get
things
this
first.
with what's his name, Wyman Manderley, the flub with him going to
Yeah.
the Ramsey wedding, where he anticipates that it's gonna be in Winterfell, even though it's not. It was a split
Yeah.
second decision.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. There's that, and then there's some weird stuff with regards to like Tychonosaurus's like timeline, and I mean all sorts of stuff doesn't quite fit. He does a pretty good job in the
Just a
North,
pretty dang good
considering
job.
how complicated the North is. He does a pretty good job, but he does fuck up with Wyman Manderley. Like I need to go to Winterfell to go to a wedding. Do you? Okay, all right.
You you've been recommended to read Blood Meridian several times on here, and I did what you did with the Dragon Skulls with like the gang members in Blood Meridian, where the author has given a lot of thought into like when gang members leave and then like when they are killed off and stuff. He's like he must have like a spreadsheet or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Where a lot of thought and like it'll be like a blink and you'll miss it where like characters are referred to by like their first names and stuff, and you're like, oh, that's the same guy that was introduced like chapters ago. You're like, oh, that's that guy. Very good. I like it when an author does that kind of
Yeah, I
stuff.
mean that is the funny thing, right? In order to really get it right, you have to have like a spreadsheet and be like, these events are occurring. How can I make these all work out? And it's just really hard. Um, oh well, the brand chapters eventually become an omniscient point of view. That's not my plan with Bran. Um, my plan is to keep having Bran have more mysteries to discover. Like even if he gets more information, to have even more information that he's not discovering. Like having him be omniscient. I don't know how you'd handle that. Like it just like I know exactly what I'm going to do now, and I have no problem about it. I feel like it'd be like one of those bad Isaac Asimov stories or something where it's like a crazy idea, but really just the text isn't really written very well
Yeah.
because you'd
We saw
remove
how
your
the show handled it. The show handled it.
yeah
Everybody hated it.
yeah because like why are we reading something where you can't have any human connection to the character? That doesn't make it
Mm.
that's not enjoyable anymore. Um, which is everybody's like criticism of AI right now is like even though like AI can spit stuff out, but there is this feeling every time you read something from AI that it just doesn't feel like a person. Like there's no connection, there's no unique voice to it where you're like, oh right, that guy is that's some edge. Um, like when I've had people read my book, they're like, oh well, this is all like. Some people are like clearly exhausted because you're like, it's spending a lot of time with Preston. But like, but at the same time, like that's what's kind of nice, right? That it is you, it's your voice.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, AI just doesn't have that. I couldn't imagine shifting Brand to being this all knowing omniscient point of view. That would just be weird. Be very weird because he's a little boy.
No, and you're right. I've seen like the Isaac Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, like trying to write like yes, big galaxy brained, and it just I don't know, kind of loses you. That's why you have it like at the very end of the story. You don't have it as a major plot point.
Right, or it's some like shorter story, where you've got this big idea, and it's the story is riding on the idea, not on the characterization. Um, favorite prologue in the series and epilogue. I love the Crescent prologue. I fucking love the Crescent prologue. I think it's incredible.
Oh yeah,
Um, I mean, I find I'm most fascinated with the a Feast for Crows prologue, because there's so much stuff about Old Town that I don't know about. But when I'm really thinking about a character that pulls me in and causes me to sympathize with them, and their death is just this like punch in the gut, and you're like, oh God, it's Crescent, you know?
Mm.
Because like when you hear like the thing about the other ones, um, like Garrett's fine, but I don't really feel that connected to Garrett, you know, or to I'm sorry, to Will. Um, I don't really feel that connected to Will. Um, and then he's fine and all, but then Chet is a horrible piece of shit, and then Pate, you know, he's kind of pathetic and dumb, and Vermeer Sixskins is also kind of a piece of shit. So you're kind of left like, okay, of that, like Crescent is just the sad. He's the one you feel sympathy for.
Mm.
Um,
When
with
When Stannis is like mean to him, he's like, "Shut up, old man," or something like
yeah,
that. You're like, oh,
that's your dad.
he's your father.
You know, so I really love the Crescent. Now, I mean, epilogues. You know, I don't have very many choices. Got two of them. They're both really good. I feel like Merritt Frey is very pathetic and sympathetic. Like you're very sympathetic to how like shitty Merritt Frey's life is. Um, but it's not that interesting to hear about. Like my life sucks, and now I'm going to die. Like
There's
so
like, yeah.
yeah,
When I was reading the Merit Frey thing, like it's like one line stuck out to me where it's like at sometimes it would like the pain in his head hurt so much, all he could do was like lay in the dark and
yeah,
suffer it or something, and you're just like, oh, that's like a
yeah.
really. But like you're right that like beside outside of that, you're just like, oh, this guy sucks. This guy
This guy
sucks, but
sucks. Yeah.
and then he dies.
The Kevin one again, you don't connect with Kevin as you much as you do as much with like Merritt, but like there's so much going on in the
Yeah.
epilogue of A Dance with Dragons that you just want to read it over and over again because there's just so much. There's so many plots where you're just like, oh fuck. Now we're gonna talk about Red Ronin. Now we're gonna fucking talk about Dragonstone. Now we're gonna fucking talk about Lady Nim coming to town. Now we're gonna talk about Cersei. Now we're gonna, you know, it just keeps going, and you're like, fuck, 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 so much.
Because it's like
So
the last thing we've been given. It's like the one thing that people are really, really coming over. That's the one that's coming over the most.
yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true.
The ending with Varys is pretty good too.
It's true. It's a very great way to end
he's
the
been living in the
chapter,
walls.
because you know from and this is one of the things where splitting the books actually helped, because from a like at this point, like you've gone all the way through Feast and you've gone all the way through Dance, and there's no Varys, and so when he shows up at the end, you're like mind blown, right? Had it been one book that was reasonably paced, him showing up at the end wouldn't have been that big a deal. You'd have been like, oh right. I mean, he was just in the end of A Storm of Swords, right? Like it would have been, imagine like that book had come out just, you know, a couple of years after Storm and was reasonably length. Varys at the end would have just been like, eh. But instead it's like it's been 12 years or whatever.
And he's been hiding in the walls the whole time.
Hiding in the walls for 12 years. You know, it's a great, yeah. The epilogue of Dance with Dragons is it's fucking baller. Um, does the Horn of Winter summon White Walkers? I don't know if the Horn of Winter does anything. I don't know if any of the horns do anything.
It
It's a
does
question.
nothing.
Trey, do you think any of the like what do you think Euron's horn has special powers?
I've been watching too much of you, where I think you've corrupted the way I think about it because I think it's way more interesting where it doesn't do anything. Because
Yeah.
you think of like the Victorian chapters where he gets the name wrong, and you're like, oh, he wasn't even fucking paying attention. You like, like I like that. And I don't know, it fits Euron that he's like a bastard like that, that he just gives his brother like a totally fake object that he just believes is real.
Right, right.
Um,
And that has no
oh,
power. The goggles do nothing. Um,
the goggle do nothing. It burns. That's
and then
that's a
there's
good
the
question.
horn um, that Melisandre burns, and I think everybody kind of accepts that that has no power. But then there's the question: the horn that Sam finds at the
There's too.
Fist of
I think there's too much time wasted on that horn for it to be nothing. I think like
yeah.
there's it's been he's been dragging it from book to book, and like
Hmm.
and it's very noticeable. Like when Sam needs to like pay his passage on the ship, and it's like all he was left was his clothes and that horn or whatever, and you're just like, oh. You're like, "Oh, I see what you're doing here." You're like, "Yeah, yeah," because he probably could have sold the horn too, like, why not? He was selling books, and he took
Right.
everything from Sam, like his sword, even his crappy sword, like, why not take this dumb horn too?
I mean, it's true that the horn is the. I mean, all the things that he like finds and gives away. Like, why would he have any attachment to the horn? Because they find all
Yeah.
this dragon glass and shit like that. They're giving it right and left. Like why would he care about this horn? Well, but the thing is like, what could the horn? Is the horn really going to bring down the
Right.
wall?
Right, like, yeah, I that's what fans believe that's gonna bring it on the wall, but the problem is Sam, like, would not see that, right? Like, he wouldn't see
Right.
he's
And
all
so
the way
why would
it's
he
too
even be?
far away now.
It's also hasn't the horn already been blown and it
I
didn't
think he
make any
says it doesn't
sound?
work. Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't work. Maybe you have to I have no idea. Yeah, like I think too much time has been wasted on it. So like he was doing something with it, but maybe George is like it's gonna be a drop plot where he's just like he just trips
I
and
mean,
loses it
sometimes you
or
just
something.
have stuff like float around, like the books that Tyrion read at Winterfell that he brought to the wall that made it all the way down to Old Town, or the fucking tapestries and shit like that. They just keep fucking getting mentioned.
God, you're right. You're right that it's like the tapestries where it's been dragged across book to book to book, and it's like when you have a really big expensive thing like a big table or a piece of furniture, and you're like moving out. I don't know. I've
Yeah,
had to do this where I moved out of college, and you're just like, I don't want to get rid of this because it's like I might
been
use it
with
at
me for
some
so
point,
long, right? But at the
but
same time,
but
like
like
it's
where do I put
old.
it? So you're right because the tapestries, like nothing. I can't believe any like whatever George is doing with those tapestries. Whatever the answer is, it's not going to be satisfying. It's going to be like we wasted this much time on these dumb tapestries because like the solution you gave that like Peter is like going to use it to like um you prove Maya Stone is like a
Right.
bastard. Like who cares at this point? Like
I mean,
like
you are right that like the best solution that I can come up with is like who fucking cares? Like who? Why would anyone fucking care at this point of the
nobody
story?
cares about the bastardy of
Of
anybody anymore, right?
right,
Like it's out in the open that Joffrey and Tommen and Marcella were bastards. Like who
right. It's sort
cares?
of it's like the Access Hollywood thing. Like everybody knows about it. Some people just don't fucking care. Like they just don't fucking care. Um, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Like I think maybe that's part of it is that it's been dragged so long that any answer is going to be unsatisfying. Like maybe maybe the Horn of Winter is going to be like those tapestries where like we'll get something with it and it's like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I just it's hard for me to come up with a moment in which Sam would like pick up the horn and blow it for some reason.
Yeah.
And like why and would it work? And he wouldn't even see anything. And then you're just like in the next chapter,
Yeah,
like
like did he cause that? Like
did he cause that or not?
I've
I mean, that
I've
which is
seen
kind of
people do that.
George to have stuff happen at the same time, and you wonder if they're related.
Yeah.
Leeches and shit. Like oh, you burned some leeches, and then some people died. Okay, was there causation there or correlation? I mean, maybe he could do that. Like have somebody blow the horn, and then the wall goes down, and you don't know about the causation, but.
I've seen fans on like message boards. This is years ago where they're like, "Oh, like Euron's gonna attack Old Town and Sam's gonna need a horn." Like he's like, "I need a horn," and like he uses the horn, and then. But you're right. Like he's not gonna know that it caused it. I guess. Okay, I can see that. I can see George doing that where you don't see the exact causation of it. You're like,
Yeah.
Sam blows the horn, and it like the astute fan is like, "Ooh, maybe that was the horn of winter," but the wall falls, and maybe you give alternate reasons for why the wall falls. Maybe
Yeah. That's about all
I
you can
don't
do
know.
with it, I think.
Right.
Um, is it Meraxes and Dorne? I will send a Hotas story. So Meraxes' body is in Dorne, but they specifically, but because like the head is clearly in specifically said to be in King's Landing. At some point, the dragon's skull was sent back. I don't know if it's been explicitly said in Fire and Blood, but um, decades
Yeah.
later, the remaining
Let's see.
bones were still in an open field at Hellholt.
It was
In
returning a peace delegation,
Yeah.
apparently. Okay.
So in the fanfic, it's just the body that we have. We have them go see the body of Meraxes, but not the but not the head because the skull was sent back. But I think it's one of those things that I think it was one of those plot holes that George felt like fixing. Like he's like, oh fuck,
Hmm.
I had the dragon die in Dorne, but the skull is in King's Landing. Okay, the skull was returned in a peace delegation. Let's write that. Fuck yeah.
He does do because he did that with Vagar too. Because Vagar, like he explicitly did like the because I don't know. I know about like ancient like that you didn't really have underwater divers that much. You had like pearl divers and everything. But
Mm.
I'm trying to think like how did they get the dragon skulls out of the lake? Um, it's like I don't know. How do you even know where it is?
I mean, gosh, there's a lot of things that um that break my brain. So recently, because I've been reading the Hedge Knight over and over again, right? There's this character in the Hedge Knight, it's Steely Pate, and this guy is like Dunk goes to see him and like orders a suit of armor like the next fucking day, and Steely Pate is like, okay, that's fine, I'll get you that armor. And you're like, it's like first of all, okay, like I mean, armorers and blacksmiths are actually separate things. And so like blacksmiths would produce the sheets of metal and then the armorers would shape them. But like, okay, fine. In this world, there's no difference between an armorer and a blacksmith. Fine. But he's got a fucking smith that he's brought in his like wagon or something. And okay, somehow he's finding the smith because usually the reason that there's blacksmiths in the castle is because they have the resources to do that, and people are buying at the castle. Like the other blacksmiths are just producing like hooks and horseshoes and stuff. You got like two types of blacksmiths, but like okay, fine, you got this armorer who can somehow he's somehow got a smith somewhere, and he like takes this metal and is making it into suits and armor. He's gonna fucking do that in one day. Like he's making this shit in one day. Like even one of those pieces, even just the helmet. Like you're like one fucking day. Like really? And like okay. And here's the thing. Like even you get beyond all of that. Steely Pate is a fucking miracle worker, and he's a smith and an armorer. He's got it all there. He can produce armor, lickety split. Like Dunk goes in like the day before a tournament, and Steely Pate doesn't have any other customers, and is like free to build him his suit of armor. This is like how many times you go into a barber shop and the guy's like, yeah, I've got no customers. Sit down and get a haircut. Like, no, usually you go in and there's like another fucking customer there. Like this is the day before the fucking like no,
Nobody's
he
getting
doesn't have
like
any other
he's
customers.
apparently
What if he's
he's
like, well,
apparently
I'm
really
busy.
good, but he's not busy. Duck, he's the unsung hero. He's
I mean, I get it that like we've played too much Dungeons and Dragons in video games where you go in and there's like one guy in the blacksmith shop. Like, why not like a team of 20 people doing a fucking job? Like, just one fucking dude. Like, somebody brought this up once about like Donald Noy. Like, I'm sorry, you're you've got one fucking blacksmith with one arm who is arming the entire Night's Watch, like 300 fucking people? Like, what do you want? Like, how is it? Get some more people. Like,
does he have an apprentice at all? Like, is it just no? It's just
we
him.
don't hear about it. I mean, probably. I mean, there's these logical things like, okay, these characters must exist. So we just don't hear about them. You know, Steely Pate actually has a team of like 50 people. You know, who shoved their fucking hearth into a wagon to drive out to the fucking commons of Ashford.
He's like a peasant, like Dunk. Does it say like how much Dunk pays for it? Like,
Yeah.
or does he get it for free? What does he do?
Um, he bargains it down from 800 to 600 stags. He gets his shield for free. So
Okay.
he wants like a metal rim added to his shield. And he's like, how much for, and Steely Pate's like, nothing. Or no, he says he's like a penny. And he's like, okay.
Steely Pate is an awesome guy here. He's like running in deficit. He's like
Steely Pate is a fucking god. Okay, there's no character that is more impressive in the entire story. Like, you think Melisandre is impressive with fucking shadow babies and shit? No, Steely fucking Pate is a goddamn magician. Okay, plus like the conspiracy theories on like, why is this magician of a fucking armorer slash smith have no customers the day before a tourney? Like, zero. Not a single person's like, oh, I need a new greave. Oh, okay. You know, he's not like, oh, well, I've got to make this other greave for fucking, you know,
I would
Jack
love
fuck
somebody to make like
Fossilway, you know, whatever. Like,
I would love for somebody to make like a Blood Raven theory that Steely Pate was a plant. He was like an agent of Blood Raven to supply Dunk to kill Baylor Breakspear.
oh my God. That makes so much fucking sense. That Steely Pate is Blood Raven. Fuck. Blood Raven, you know, Blood Raven obviously wasn't invented yet at the time of Steely Pate, but man, oh man. Is it out of character for Arya to kill Darian? It was out of character for Arya to kill Darian, which is kind of why it's shocking. You know, she definitely goes dark there. It's a weird thing where you're going in Arya's head and she's like coming up with excuses. She's like justifying everything that she does, you know. So she like justifies in her head that like Darian is this horrible person, therefore deserves to die. And it's mainly that she thinks Darian's a dick, but then she's just like, oh, he's a deserter. He deserves to die. I don't know if she's actually killing him really because he's a deserter. I think he's killing him because she thinks he's a dick. And then she uses that as an excuse. But it's weird because then she's sent to kill the insurance salesman, which we don't know if she actually does. But she's like making up excuses in her head, like, oh, he's got an evil face, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, Arya is she's going crazy. She's all over the map. She's exploring her morality, which just seems to be none. You know, she doesn't have any justification for what she does. She just does what she wants. You know, but I guess it wouldn't be so bad. Like she killed some other people that, you know, on her death list that.
She's that guy that was like laughing annoyingly. She's like, I hate the way you
Yeah.
laugh.
I
guess
mean,
his story is really dark.
his story is dark, but like he didn't do it. He just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
So did he deserve to die? for thinking the story was funny. Chiswick is his name, I think. Chiswick or Chickwick. Because
Yeah.
he's like kind of a jerk. I'm trying to think.
One of Sandra Gregor Clean's guys. Let's see. Part of the group that captures her sometimes aids the tickler in torturing small folk. Okay,
That's
so
pretty shitty.
he's
Okay.
he's a little evil. Tries to bite her.
The one who I
When
think
Arya
is
tries to bite him, he hits her in the face. So
yeah,
that's it.
the torturing thing. That's no good. The one who I think is that shouldn't be. There's two people that I think she goes too far on the list, and that is Ilan Payne and Dunson. Those are the two people that I think. Like Dunson, all he did was take Gendry's helmet, and we never hear him about doing anything else bad. And then Ilan Payne, who's just doing his fucking job, like cuts off the head. So I think those are the two people that I shouldn't be on the list. But I guess yeah, Darian is pretty innocent, all things considered. Desert. He's because according to Darian, he's innocent. He was sent to the wall, falsely accused of rape. And so him being a deserter is like, well, he shouldn't have been on the wall in the first place. So yeah, you're supposed to think it's dark. You're supposed to think that it's out of I feel like she should start feeling guilty about it later. If we're gonna, save Arya as a character. Wrote along Night Myth for Novos, View for Hotel. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm already been getting. People are pretty excited about the Hota chapter call, mainly because I think a little more creativity and people can send like shorter things. So
I like how you kept a Dark Star story as like a surprise. Like everybody's gonna be
yeah.
waiting for that.
Yeah, I've told Carmine what it's all about
Nice.
what the surprise is. But yeah, hopefully I was kind of thinking about like what could work for surprising people, something that's appropriate, something that like shifts the story and shocks the story. So yeah, I think it's all that can be done, and so we'll see. I'm sure some people will be disappointed with what Darkstar says, but I hope not. I put way too much thought into Ashara Dane.
You've had this idea for this chapter, like the telling stories near Old Town, like for a while. Like,
right.
I remember you talking about this
like the chapter's point
years ago.
is to essentially like expose. I mean, tiny bit to advance. Like, oh yeah, we're searching for Myrcella and have something in Old Town, but like, and to have the Sam and the Hota stories cross. But because it's always fun when the stories cross. But but yeah, it was mainly to. We've got to fucking talk about Ashara Dane. We're gonna fucking talk about Ashara Dane and get it done. No more beating around the bush on this shit. Okay.
George needed to talk about Ashara Dane years ago.
What's the truth that Quaith wants Dany to find in a shy? Also, will Dany use a glass candle? That's a good question. I don't know. My original so on a shy throughout a Game of Thrones, Jorah is constantly saying to Dany, "Hey, let's go to a shy. Let's go to a shy. A shy is really fucking great. We should go to a shy." And Dany even asks him about that in A Storm of Swords. So like George is aware that like Jorah was asking about a shy. Like it wasn't just a random thing of like, world building of Jorah bringing up Ashai over and over again. Like, Dany recognizes this and it's mentioned. So I was trying to think, like, why would Illyria want Dany and Ashai? And I came up with a theory that, like, oh, he was, that maybe Drogo was really heading that way, and he wanted to just get rid of Dany, and maybe he'd have made a deal with the religion of the Red God, because Illyrio is a follower, or at least pretends to be a follower of the Red God in the first chapter of the first Dany chapter, or maybe the second Dany chapter. So I was like, maybe he was trying to use the people of Volantis or something because also Halden Halfmaester talks about maybe using the religion of the Red God to their advantage. So I was like, okay, maybe he was giving the weird priests and wizards and whatever exists in Ashai, Dany and some eggs as payment for them supporting Aegon or something like that. That was like my original theory. Not that I think George thought about that, but but that's what I kind of had this idea about that. But then the question is, like, what does Quaithe want? Does Quaithe want to send Dany to Ashai? Well, she says to go east and instead of going west and stuff like that. You don't know if she's talking metaphorically or what. So it's hard to say if Quaithe wants her to go, unless I'm missing something.
I've struggled to figure out what the deal with Quaithe is. Like, where do you even go if there is a player?
Oh, right. So it's not that yeah, it's weird because in a Clash of Kings, Quaithe says to go north you must journey south, to go west you must go east, to go forward you must go back, to touch the light you must pass beneath the shadow. That also, and then Dany immediately thinks of Ashai. And so you're like, you want me to go to Ashai? Will Ashai give me an army? What will I find in Ashai? And Truth, the woman in the mast, said, bowing, and then faded back into the crowd. And it's like, well, Quaithe didn't exactly say to Dany, go to Ashai. She said her fucking riddle. And then Dany's like, Ashai? What am I going to find in Ashai? And she's like, truth. And you're like, it's like a little bit of her agreeing. It's like on the fence, right? On whether or not, like, she's telling her to go to Ashai. Like, is it recognition? Is it tacit recognition that you guessed correctly? You know? So I don't know. Maybe Quaithe is also wanting those, the whatever wizards or whoever exists in Ashai to have control of Dany, and want those dragons or something. So I don't know. It's something I really have to think about. The Dany 2 chapter I've been putting off because of Quaithe, and it's just too much. It's too much. But yeah, but it's a real mystery, and I don't know how to handle it. I don't know how to handle Quaithe yet. Trying to figure it out. Trying to come up with something good. Preston would kill Dorkstar. Darkstar.
That's so mean. That's such a mean nickname.
Darkstar is invincible, man. Okay, he's most dangerous in Starlight. Okay, that's the.
What does he say? What's his line? He's
his
like,
thing
I am
is,
of the
I'm
night.
Darkstar. I'm of the night, and he says also, I was weaned on venom.
Oh my god.
So in the fanfic we have, like, I have him say, I'm most dangerous by starlight or something like that. Like something ridiculous.
Was George trying to make him cool, or is it like tongue in cheek? Like he knows he's kind of a little cringe.
People don't know. I think a lot of people think that he's so cringe because they believe George really thought he was a badass.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't tell because there's things that George thinks is really cool that I'm just like, that's not that cool.
Right. But he goes, well, I like Darkstar. Darkstar's really cool. He's really dangerous. He's a dangerous knight, He's from House Dane, one of the ancient houses.
It's a really good impression. You get the mannerisms even. You would like ramble like that.
Um, is Simeon Star Eyes named for Simeon
Oh, is
Stylites?
this the guy? This is the guy that was like sitting in like the towers? Yeah, yeah. This is like a sect of Christianity where they believe they should be separated from the world, so they lived up in these towers, these
Really?
little
I'd never
pillars.
heard of this.
Yeah, they're stylites. Is that what the sect of Christianity is? They were like, it's
Simeon
weird.
Stylites. Huh.
Yeah, they were like monks. They were like monks who believed that, and like they lived on these giant pillars, and they would like people would bring them food, and they would bring it up in a bucket, and then bring it
Oh,
back
like in
down.
college, you know, and like to raise money, like one frat will like put a guy on a pole and you have to like bring him food and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I guess like that. I guess like that, but with Christianity.
Yeah, yeah.
Notable for
Huh.
living 36 years on a small platform on a pillar near Aleppo. Yeah,
That's hard to
I don't
believe.
think so. I don't think so. I don't think George is aware of. I like, yeah, yeah. I don't think so. I think people will assume George is more of a history nerd than he actually is. Um,
Right. Well, the thing is his history is very focused on certain places. Like he knows a lot about British history,
mm,
but I don't necessarily think he knows that much about other places.
yeah,
Um,
he's like I can tell he's read like Suetonius or
mhm.
like or Herodotus, but I don't know if he's read anything outside of that, you know. Because I noticed this because he makes Stannis say like if all of the seven kingdoms had but a single neck,
Mm.
which is it's a quote from Caligula and like Suetonius where he
Yeah,
swapped it
yeah.
out with, but that's also an I Claudius, so I don't know if he just watched I Claudius, you know, like
Probably the I Claudius. Well, I think Generic Entertainment has a video out today uh, about how many books you can read in your life. And because Carl Sagan had this thing where he's in a library and he's like, the number of books that you're going to read in the rest of your life is this. And he like points to a very small part of a bookshelf.
mm,
And then you're like, oh shit. Because you're like, right. Like, even if you're reading a book a week, which let's be honest, we're not, but even if you were reading a book a week, like, that means you're only getting like 50 books a year. So you're getting like in a decade, 500 books, you know, in a lifetime, you know, at most 5,000 books, right? Like that is the
mm,
upper limit of the number of books that you're going to be the total number of books that you're going to read in your life, 5,000, you know? And so,
yeah.
you know, you have to start saying like, oh, have you read this book? Like, oh, really? One of the books of your life. And that's if you live to 100. Like it's not, you know, like the chances of when somebody says to somebody else, "Have you read blank?" The chances are really slim because you're like, how many books has a person actually read in their life? You know, well, it's 1,000. You know, like, oh, one of the 1,000 books is something you've read. You know, like, whew, it might be a coincidence, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to see how common the name Simeon is. And it actually is a pretty common name because there was one of the 12 tribes of Israel is a Simeon, Simeon son of Jacob. There's Simeon the Just,
Mm.
Simeon in the Gospel of Luke, who blessed Jesus and his parents at a Jerusalem temple, Simeon Niger. So, and then it's Simeon is a given name given a million times in history. So like if there were only like a handful of Simeons, maybe I could think it would be named after this Simeon pole dude. But I don't think so. I don't think when it's Simeon Simeon Stylites. Yeah.
I just don't know like if they have anything else in common besides just like the name sounding kind of
Right.
similar.
Some
Like,
alliteration, right? Yeah. But that's about it. Yeah, so probably not. Sorry, Jonah. Um Hot take, all the time traveling brands are the old gods. Um, so I'm trying to think of the old god. Like I didn't even think that the old gods were anything besides like souls of the children of the forest. Like I didn't actually think that like there were other souls or gods besides. Like the trees are the vessels for the souls of children. But now it's like, are there? But now there's no children of the forest. It's just time traveling Bran. It's like I say. I think the big thing is like, well, we've met children of the forest, so we know that their souls are around. But I do really have a problem with time traveling Bran being able to time travel past his own birthday, like the quantum leap thing. Like I think he's only able to time travel within his own lifetime because it just doesn't make sense for him to time travel earlier because he's gonna screw up his own birth. He's gonna fuck up his own birth, and he won't exist. And I do think that George would think about that. Like, oh fuck, if he changes the timeline, he'll stop existing. So he can't time travel. He can't time travel before his own birth, or at least before his own conception. But all of them being like all of the children of the forest souls. I don't know. I don't know if we could work with that. That might be too much.
We have like, and also like I'm thinking of Song for Leah, where you have something that's so similar to the werewoods, and those are actually like people's souls going into the thing, into the Sklima, whatever
Oh yeah,
whatever
yeah,
things
yeah.
are
Yeah.
called.
The Shkeen. Is the swamp bog of the Nuck saltwater or fresh? I mean, aren't bogs usually are they usually brackish?
Yeah, I kind of interpret it as brackish. I thought the neck was
Because
brackish.
Victorian literally takes his ship in, like pretty far into the bogs, like on his ship. So it's got to be brackish water. It's not like an internal bog, like a prairie pothole um, kind of thing. Prairie. I don't know. I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say prairie pothole?
Prairie pothole. I don't know. I've never heard of prairie pothole.
um,
Let's see.
so I also did environmental studies. Like I did econ and environmental studies as a double as a undergrad, and so I did my bachelor's thesis on like wetlands and like valuation of like the United States' wetlands. Horrible paper. Would be embarrassed if it existed today. Thank goodness it doesn't. Um, but the so we normally think about wetlands as like estuaries, like Louisiana or the Chesapeake Bay or something like that. But in truth, acre for acre, the most wetlands are actually something called prairie potholes, which is essentially when you're talking about like a place like Iowa, it's a it's a very small lake, that has like reeds and everything, and they're super important because migrating birds like stop there on their trips, and if you didn't have the prairie potholes, um, all the birds die, which kills those birds, but also kills the bird watching industry. Which, by the way, the bird watching industry in America is fucking enormous, and I don't like people don't realize how fucking big the bird watching industry is in America, but it's enormous. Like tourism from bird watching and all the shit. Like people in the Midwest, like you don't understand how boring they are, right? Like they fucking love fucking bird watching. But the thing is, when you have farmers who are sitting there and it's like, well, I've got this acre of land, and part of it is like, should I just fill in and plow this like prairie pothole so I can have more acreage, and so you have to like pay farmers not to farm their land to save the prairie potholes to like save but yeah, those might be
Wow.
freshwater, but I think I think most stuff is probably brackish. But yeah, I wonder why it matters. Is there something interesting in there with the brackish water? Oh, I mean, I'm so behind here. Mm, Uh, uh, uh. Skulls were stolen from my collection. Annoyed. I told you the story about my Nazca Indian skull, right?
I don't think so. And you told me about something about your brother having like he was returning remains to like a tribe. But I don't know. I didn't hear
No,
about your Nazca
yeah.
skull.
So I did a trip to Peru um, a long time ago, like 20 years ago, and I went to Nazca. Nazca is famous mainly for the lines where you get in the plane and you look at like the monkey and
The
like the
bird and stuff.
butterfly and the birds, like that only the gods can see. And so they so while I was there, one of the taxi drivers I got was like, "Hey, do you want to go out and see like the graveyard?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, like 5 years ago, they found this this old Nazca like graveyard of people buried from like 1,000 years ago, and people thought there was gold in there, so the locals like went out and like unearthed all these graves and like just like littered the sand, the desert with just bodies,
Oh,
and now I mean skeletons and clothing and hair, and now it's just like before it was under the ground being preserved, and now it's like the wind and everything is just causing it all to fall apart and to go into dust. So I go out. I was like, okay, let's see it. And I go out there, and it was crazy because it's like you're sitting there, and then like you pick up a braid, and it's braided, like braided hair from like 1,000 years ago, and then it just disintegrates in your hand.
oh my
Like,
gosh.
oh, I like pick up a skull, and it just like crumbles to dust in my hand, like 1,000 year old, Nazca guy. And it's just kind of a weird feeling as well. Like in 1,000 years, could someone pick up my skull and be like, and have it like, like that guy 1,000 years ago didn't think in 1,000 years some dude is going to pick up my skull and it's going to crumble in his hand. Like, he had no idea that was going to be the fate of his body. It was just kind of weird, right? And it was just very, very surreal, like very like this existential crisis about like, oh my god, like.
Yeah.
And some people are like, don't you feel bad that you were like spoiling the site? And I was like, it was hit by wind. Like it was 5 years out. Like in another 5 years, everything's just gonna be dust. It's probably all dust now. So like, it was this like really weird sweet spot where I got to see these like bodies, right?
Hmm.
And so I find this jawbone, and that's like not as crumbly as everything else. It has like flat teeth and stuff. Like the teeth were really flat, I guess, from like chewing roots and stuff. And so I like decided to bring this jawbone home, and really dumb idea considering that's like you're trafficking in human remains, which is I'm sure a huge felony.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, I like pack it in my backpack, and I get to the airport, and it's chosen as like to be searched because
Oh,
I guess they thought my
shit.
dirty backpack looked like it could have a bomb or something. And the guy like opens up my backpack, and he's like going through all my dirty clothes, and then he picks up this plastic bag with the jawbone in it, and he like sets it aside and then continues to like look through stuff, and then he's just like, okay. I packed it all up and I go, and it was like that was it.
What?
Yeah. So I brought it back, and it was in I don't know where it went actually. It was in my room for forever, and I have no idea like where that jawbone went. Hopefully I can find it. I don't know if I still have it because
That's crazy.
yeah, this thousand year
Like
old
the
jawbone.
person that belonged to never could have imagined that either. That
Yeah,
somebody would and then travel to another continent with their 1,000-year-old jawbone. Like that is
right.
crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I know exactly the feeling that you're talking about because when I was excavating at a dig site, it is a very surreal feeling when like a human bone in your hand just like disintegrates because that's just what that happens sometimes.
Yeah,
Especially when it's hot and the sun's really drying things out, like things will just go into dust and you're like, wow, like That's crazy. I don't know. It happened
Yeah.
to, like the same exact feeling happened to me. So it's crazy to hear somebody else. So few people have handled human remains, so it's like I don't
Right,
understand
right.
it.
I mean, and to an archaeologist, it's like, well, that was just a bone. Like we got plenty of those. When you like find a really cool pot and you're like, oh my God, it's this pot from like 5,000 years ago. And they're like, yeah, it's a fucking pot. Like no one cares. like,
This
because
happened to
there's
me.
so many pots.
I found a ceramic in the cemetery, and I showed it to like the lead Polish archaeologist, and he was like, "Oh," and he went, and he threw it in the pile into the dirt pile.
Right.
Like nobody
It's
cares.
literally the equivalent of like somebody in 5,000 years being like, oh my God, I found a Coke can. you know? Yeah, they have no interest in pottery. They're just like, you can dig in the ground and find a million more pots, okay? The world is littered with ceramic pots. Um, was the last dragon hatched, Arlen's hatched by Neres? Oh, this is the idea that like, so what Words or Wind is talking about here is that I have a theory that um, in order to hatch a dragon, you need to have a a Targaryen near them with double X chromosomes, which means that like
Mm.
you need to have a female like Rhaenyra, who's special, that is able to hatch dragons. That's the theory I have. It's not a perfect theory. I think there's definitely situations where there might be hatching going on without that, but um, is Nerys, who by the way is like super special, like people were always like everyone was trying to um let's see, bang her and Dana. I'm trying to think if Nerys, could she have double X? See, I don't know. Lara Regare, is she Valyrian? Is she gonna have the X gene? Um, like I would think that the more likely candidate would be Dana,
Mm.
um, like Dana Targaryen, because Dana Targaryen has a Valyrian mother and Aegon the Third as the father, and everyone was trying to bang her, and Aegon has Daemon Blackfyre with her. And so the idea is that the reason the people didn't want Daemon Blackfyre on the throne is that he was carrying the special gene and they were trying to make the special gene extinct. And so I think Dana is the better candidate for hatching that dragon. Dana is born in 145 AC. So she'd be around. Oh yeah, there's like this date thing that's wrong about like when Arlen saw this last dragon and stuff. It's I don't know if you watch the Dunkin' Egg video, Trey, but
I did. I like how you said he had it correct and then he fucked it up.
he had it correct and then fucked it up. And I think he almost had it correct by accident. Like I don't even think he like was even like putting much thought into it. And I was like, okay, this kind of works out, it kind of works out. He's got the dates right. And then he's like, somehow in the world of Ice and Fire, it's like, no, you fucked it up. I mean, the only thing is people could be like, well, maybe Dunk was wrong about Arlen's age. And you're like, okay, he thought he was in his late 50s and he was actually in his early 60s and he looks great, or something. But that's the easy excuse. But yeah, I'm going with Dana. Dana the Defiant is the one hatching eggs. But and then that last dragon is just all, weird. Or does it need to be? Or does the idea that Nerys, because she's a little off, that she would have something weird with the dragon?
I kind of always I
yeah.
kind of always assumed because okay, Nerys is the one that has Daron the First, right? And
Mm,
then Daron
yeah.
has the Blackfire Rebellion against Daemon. I kind of assumed that Daron was like the dead end. You know, he like didn't have it, and
Right.
that's why everybody was all up in arms about Daemon.
Right. Oh, I think he's let's see, he's born, he's not born. The other thing is there's the question of like the double X and whether or not there needs to be a pregnant woman around. Is like the pregnancy an important aspect of it? See, I still, it's been years. I'm like, I need to do that birthing of dragons video, but
I've given it a little thought because I'm interested in Targaryen incest, like how high like the breeding coefficients are and all that inbreeding
yeah.
coefficients. Um, and there's definitely like I'll have to share this with you later. Like there's definitely like a peak around like the Dance of the Dragons, and then it goes out. Like they're marrying out to other families way more often after the Dance of the Dragons,
Oh,
which would
interesting.
increase it. Yeah, I'll have to share it. Like the most inbred, like it's funny, the most inbred members of House Targaryen are like Viserys the First and like Daemon, the Rogue Prince.
Huh.
They're the most inbred according to my calculations.
Okay. Okay.
And,
Because,
and I'm talking like ridiculously inbred. They're like 45% or something like
oh, to
that.
get
Something
yeah, the coefficients.
very, very high. Super like ridiculously high.
Is this counting like we're counting Valarians as like Targaryens?
I count them as out. I
As
know my
okay.
video. I
Okay.
like because I couldn't calculate how closely related they are. So
Ah.
like I was like I'll count them as out. So it's always going to be like a low estimate.
That makes more sense to me now that you're saying it, because you're like, okay, because uh, uh, hello,
Oh
hello.
my gosh! Oh my gosh!
I know.
Why didn't you pick up
What do you
earlier?
mean?
Dude, I almost got an, I'm trying to get right now an interview, but this motherfucker keeps giving me the runaround. I don't want to say who I'm trying to, but I almost have it, and this asshole's assistant is just giving me such a headache, but I think I'm about to get an interview with should I send this to you on Facebook or Discord?
Sure, send it to me on Facebook.
This guy. Don't say it out loud, Trey. I'll tell you too. Don't
Okay,
say it
I
out
won't say
loud.
anything.
But this became a whole issue. Where are you, Trey,
Mm.
on Discord? And I was trying to get him specifically on the stream, and then he had to like go because yeah. Where are you, Trey? This guy.
I can hit you up.
Don't say it out loud, Trey.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
The
Okay.
reason why
Okay.
is because I don't. I kind of want to talk about this later if you don't mind. I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you guys' archaeology story?
No, you're good.
Did I interrupt your Black Panther
I can't
party?
believe he thinks he can get an interview with trying to think of the most ridiculous Tom Holland. Can't believe you almost got an interview with Tom Holland.
But that's why. Like I don't know if you saw that on social media, Trey. That's what it's the stupidest thing. And I was defending him, and then just opened up like a DM, like just talking to him, and maybe I can
Oh
get
boy.
something because maybe I can find some more info on whether how deep George is in the whole situation. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Do you think? By the way, Carmine, I know you have a a little bit of hope about Winds of Winter. Do you think that in this upcoming con visits that he's doing in October, um, you think
Don't even ask me. Don't even ask me anymore. Did you
if he
see the
does
new
not
interview?
announce during those, do you think you are like at the end? You're just like, okay, it's done.
I will always have hope. One of us
Will you
needs to.
join us, Carmine? Will you join us
Us,
in the?
Trey. You're already. Trey. No.
I think I'm done. I think I'm on Preston's side where he's it's not happening. It's not
Did you
happening.
guys? Did either of you guys read the newest Hollywood Reporter article that came out today?
I did about the or no, I read the one on his on Santa Fe,
Yeah.
how he's re transformed Santa Fe. I read that article.
Yeah. I like how at the very end, at the very end of the article, let me read it to you if you don't mind. He goes, I I just want to make one thing clear, he tells THR. While I'm an investor and an owner in some of these things, I do not run them on a daily basis. Every time I announce something on the internet, there's always this crazy talk. Oh, he's giving up writing the books. But I'm still writing the 6th novel, The Dunk and Egg Story. Wait, what? The way you said that was weird. Those are what I'm focused on. It's like George does like the greatest hits every time there's an article out. Every single time anyone interviews him, it's always like, well, you see, I'm going over here to Mars and we're planting crops. And yes, of course, Winds of Winter is coming. But anyways, all this other crazy shit I'm doing. And it's like, dude, we're not here for that.
It's so weird how close it is to like the fucking South Park story, like the South Park episode.
They
like
knew.
And that was only like 3 years in. Like it was insane.
Carmine, I like how he said that, and there's a non-zero factor that tweet that stupid reporter read to him for me is in his brain whenever he's talking to
some
people.
Some of those wags. What is a
some
wag?
Of those wags.
Is that like
they're not
Australian
connected.
or some shit?
They're not connected. I like that thing. I like how upset George got with that. Oh my gosh. Oh boy.
It really is that. I don't know if you remember this episode from The Simpsons, Trey, but I'm sure Preston does. Preston, you remember that episode of The Simpsons where Bart becomes Radioactive Man's sidekick, and then he goes to school, and all the kids are like looking at him. Say the line, Bart.
Say the line, right? I do remember.
That's literally George. Every time George does an interview, it's like, say the line, George. I'm working on the 6th book. Yeah, it's every time. Sorry, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt your Black Panther party? I'm sorry. What were we talking about?
No.
That was ruin your black. Isn't it ruin your Black Panther party? I'm sorry, I ruined your Black Panther party.
Yes, it is. By the way, Trey, you made me feel like an old asshole. You don't know who Sub-Zero is?
No, I know Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. I just first thing I think of is Sub-Zero is Plane Zero. I think of.
Funny that he thinks of Running Man before Mortal Kombat. Like the bottom of the barrel, one of the worst Schwarzenegger movies is like number 1 over like Mortal Kombat.
And it's older than Mortal Kombat too. Like
I don't know why I watched it like years ago. I don't know why it's so strong in my memory. I just think of all the villains he fights are so lame. Like he fights the guy in like the little light up car. He's got like the little what's that toy? The toy that you have like the little dots. You like
Jingle All the Way. I think that's the movie you're talking about. The Schwarzenegger film where he has the toy Jingle All the Way.
No. I'm thinking of like
he fights all of these really lame characters. Like one is like an opera singer, and like who's like electric or something, and like what it's like it's not like Running Man is not a great movie. I actually think that like. I mean, I kind of like Running Man more than say Commando. I don't think Commando is very good at all, but like, so but like when you think of like top tier Schwarzenegger movies, okay, you got Predator, you got Terminator 2, and then it kind of goes down, and then you get to the bottom, you get fucking Running Man.
Carmine, it's this guy. Here, I'll send it to you, Carmine. I love this guy.
So
the Daimyo or something.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't remember this at all. Jesus.
He's like a big fat guy. He's a big fat guy. And he has a little car that looks exactly like him that lights up too.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he like sings opera and he's like electric. Yeah, this is him.
Oh my god.
Willis Tyrell works birds. He loves hawking and stargazing. Luther dies while in his own bed. Willis is a brand parallel. Plans for Willis in the fanfic. Obviously, like, you want to get to Willis and thinking about like what Willis is doing in all of this. Like, he seems like a really interesting character, and George has like a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know why he's on a good terms with Oberyn. Like, I don't know what he does with his time. Like, why is it relevant that he's so into like hawking and things like this? Like, really, like, you want to get into all that. The problem is No one is fucking near Highgarden. Like, no points of view are near Highgarden. Nobody. And so how does he enter the story? How? Do you send Jamie to Highgarden? Do you send Sam to Highgarden? Do you send Aaron to Highgarden? It's gonna take a while. No one is fucking near there. Do you send John Con, Ariane? It's gonna be tough. And then say you get somebody out there, like, well, what is he gonna fucking say? Like, oh hi, I'm Willis. I'm a nice guy. I have a hawk. Like, what is he gonna do? So
I always was under the impression that George wanted to visit all the major castles in Westeros, like in the story. And like that's the thing is he put so much thought into Casterly Rock, he put so much thought into Highgarden, all these places when we're never going to visit them. They're nobody's
right. I
close
remember
to
we got
them.
so excited in the show, oh man, they're going to Castle Rock, and then we're disappointed. Like, oh my god, they're going to Highgarden, and then we get disappointed. Um,
Why were we disappointed? It's because the castles were just so lame looking. They're just
Crap,
stupid.
they look lame.
yeah, and the battles were off screen.
Yeah.
We did see the guys from Always Sunny in Philadelphia dressed up as what's it called, with the eunuch guys, Unsullied.
Yeah.
We like that.
So I mean, with Willis, like, the plan of the fanfic is to have everybody eventually collapse upon the God's Eye in Harrenhal. So like, eventually the characters will be heading north, and they'll have to pass through Highgarden. So eventually, like, that'll be the case, but we'll get to Willis. But I don't have any ideas on what to do with Willis. None. Have you or Trey ever read the Broken Earth trilogy? I get asked this one too a lot, but no, I haven't. I haven't read the Broken Earth trilogy.
I have not.
Broken Earth trilogy, 5th season, won the Hugo Award. Planet with the single supercontinent called the Stillness. And every few centuries, its inhabitants endure what they call a 5th season, a catastrophic climate change. Huh. Some people control energy. Use castles, use casts. Interesting. He uses his power to fracture an entire continent across its length, threatening to cause the worst 5th season in history. Huh. That sounds pretty interesting. But yes, I have not. I mean, obviously, I'm seeing the parallels in that you're talking about, like, an actual, like, the environment affecting the story, like with the uneven seasons in Westeros. Like, I guess you don't kind of think about that. Like with Lord of the Rings, you don't think about, oh man, there was I'm sure I'll be corrected by someone, but you don't think about, like, oh man, there was this really bad winter, and it really affected the story. And you're like, well, it's kind of the fundamental part of Ice and Fire theoretically. Will you reveal the last 2 of the 9 wonders in the fanfic? Oh yeah, I think so. I think people. Trey, you've studied the 9 wonders of Westeros, haven't you? Longstrider.
This was a long time ago. Let me see what my notes were. They're on my old computer, but yes, like that's the thing is there's some that are not confirmed but like assumed.
Okay.
Like I think the Wall's one of them where it's never explicitly stated. Like, let me see. Wonders of
Valyrian Roads.
Yes.
I guess so spake Martin. He said it in an interview for The Wall. Titan of Bravos, Triple Wall.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the High Tower is not explicitly stated, but it's kind of like it almost 100% is. The Pyramid of Gis. Those are not
both
explicitly
kidding me
stated.
right now? Like, You guys are messing with me, right?
What's that?
You've
What?
had this discussion.
Yeah, we have. I know, but
Right, I
it's
think
been
we have a
so
whole
long
video
that I've
on it,
forgotten
right?
the
Yeah, I
discussion.
think Trey and I have a whole video where we talk about this.
52-minute video. I'm looking at it right
We
here.
have a 52 video. We have a 52
We
minute
forgot.
video
Yeah.
We
on
forgot.
this topic.
How many? How many are there? Because okay, six. Okay, what, 9 wonders. Okay, there's 9, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 are no, and there's 2 left. Okay, Hightower is probably like almost 100% number 8, and then I'm assuming the Giss, the Great Pyramid of Giss, is number 9. Like, how could it not? But yeah, some
Considering
people
it's
say
like,
Harrenhal, but I don't think so. I think Harrenhal's too young. I think Lomas Longstrider was dead by then, so I don't think he could have seen the Harrenhal to call it a wonder.
I see
But
here from our thumbnail. I see that you have here the Wall, the Titan of Bravos. Fuck, I should really listen to this real quick.
I know it's been so
I'll-
long. It's been years.
I know the fact
It's
that
been
like we kind of
years.
forgot that we did this.
I don't know. By the way, not really years. 2 years. April 2023.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Fuck. Does anybody remember that video? Tell us what he thought of it.
I remember.
Huh.
I remember recording it. It was one of our first kind of
Yes.
collabs we
It
did.
was actually a 2-hour discussion. The first part was on Lomas Longstrider. The second part was just on like House of the Dragon, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, stuff like that. I don't remember that. I got to go back through that. Clip it for the Clips
Yes.
channel.
Clip it for the Clips channel. This is Carmine's new thing. He's like, you got 10 years of content. Clip it up. Clip it up. 1,000 videos. Clip it up.
I have a guy that clips it up and just puts it on there. I always tell him, bro, just clip it up. Just clip it up, put it in the
Clip it
Clips
up.
channel. Fuck it.
If George R. R. Martin had written chapters of books 1 to 3 in the way he wrote chapters for books 4 and 5, what do you think it would have been like? Better or worse? I mean, that's funny. Like people like if imagine if like a Game of Thrones was written in the style of A Dance with Dragons, and like
Oh my
Ned
god.
just gets to King's Landing at the end of the fucking book. I mean, that might be the case. Oh, I'm sorry that I'm coughing up. Kids are always sick, and they're always making me sick. So, I mean, I definitely think like it would be there would be more atmosphere and all of that and everything. But no, you need to jump into the story and get the story going. And you know, it's with a Game of Thrones, as flawed as a Game of Thrones is, and there's many flaws. Like the fact that there's so much stuff that happens, like you're just like, oh really? Like Tyrion goes all the way to the Vale and has a trial by combat, and then comes back and is in a battle, and then, and you know has well, I mean, I guess you can say that stuff happens to Tyrion in A Dance with Dragons. I mean, I guess he fights some stone men and gets sold into slavery and stuff like that. But I don't know, it just doesn't feel as fast paced. Well, I mean, I guess that's a much longer book than a Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is actually pretty short by comparison. So no, I think that really, I think if had George stuck with the fast pace of a Game of Thrones, like it probably would have been better. Just in the sense that we'd finish stuff and we get the events over with. We could actually finish in 7 books and stuff like that. I mean, granted, you know, there's benefits to A Feast for Crows, Dance with Dragons. We get to know the characters really well. We get the atmosphere. We get to know the atmosphere really well. There's all these details and world building and all of that. But I don't know if it's worth the cost. It's worth the cost. And keep in mind, A Feast for Crows is my favorite one. You know, so I think it's just that, like, it was my favorite one, and it's like, I think when it became my favorite book, it was like I was assuming that the next book was going to be out so soon, and then it wasn't. And you're like, oh fuck, there's costs for this shit, you know. You know, it's like saying your favorite restaurant is a Michelin star restaurant. Like, yeah, but you can't go to it that often because it's expensive and it's booked all the time, you know? Like, so maybe it's better to have a favorite restaurant that's a little less high tier. Most powerful player in the book. I mean, it's gotta be our TT boy, right? Time traveling Bran. TT boy, by the way, is a porn star. He's like a classic porn star. TT boy.
That's so that's so random. I think Griffin is asking somewhat of the wrong question, right question, but also wrong question. I think this would be a great video for you to do. Who is the character that's right every book? Because I know based off what you've told me, Clash, it's Catelyn.
Oh,
I think
book by book. I'm sorry. Most powerful player, book by book. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Carmine, you're right. I did misread it.
Well, no, I'm saying like I think a great video would be this question, but if we reword it a little bit, like every book, who's the character that is right? It's Catelyn and Clash. Would you say Pycelle and Feast?
Yeah. Who's the character that's never wrong? Yeah, it's definitely Pycelle and Feast, Catelyn and Clash. Being right. I mean, I guess Kevin is really right in dance, but it's where they're just warning everybody and they're like, oh, what needs to be done. But I don't know if I ever did come up with a character every book for who is right, like who's the smartest character every book. I think with regards to the most powerful player in each book, Littlefinger is definitely the most powerful player in the first book. He's so fucking lucky, and he's able to achieve so much in that book with his scheming, and he affects so much change in that book. When you think about it, like he gets Ned killed, he becomes Joffrey's like friend. He gets the Starks and the Lannisters at each other's throat. He tricks people with a dagger. He convinces Lysa to murder somebody. He's definitely the most powerful player in the Game of Thrones is Littlefinger. And then once we hit the like Clash of Kings, the most powerful player is probably Stannis. He's the one that's just like having brothers murdered. Goes from nothing to having a massive army and almost wins the throne, and then, I guess he fails in the end, but still he affects the most change. And then in Storm, you got to go with Tywin. Tywin just like is able to red wedding everything and completely like change the outcome of the whole, win the war out of fucking nowhere. And then most powerful person in Feast, Euron.
I was gonna say Euron,
powerful, where he just like fucking out of nowhere takes over and causes so much havoc. And then Dance.
Stannis.
Nobody's
John
powerful.
Con?
Yeah, nobody. What's that?
John Con's pretty powerful.
John Con. You're right. It probably is John Con.
It's Victorian. Victorian's pretty good. He's getting
You're
those
right.
ships.
But just getting power from nowhere, like, and just being completely, utterly successful. I mean, granted, he has some lack of luck in getting grayscale. Just like Tywin has lack of luck and then he gets killed.
Not really a player yet, but kind of on the outskirts of being a player. The Weeper, I guess you could also say. He's got not really, but kind of.
The Weeper, he just tortures people and then gets murdered.
Yeah, but he's got a lot of forces coming in. Maybe.
So behind on everything. I don't know if I'm going to get anywhere.
Most of it is people saying Trey is so handsome. I don't know if you saw that comment, Trey.
Thank you. I look bad.
What would Stannis' role in the 5-year gap have? I think this is one of the big reasons why George ruled against the 5 year gap is that like Stannis chilling at the wall for 5 years seemed a little unrealistic. But if you're going to have Stannis be at the wall for fucking 5 years, I mean, I guess the idea would be that you would be training. I think he would have pulled in more wildlings, and he would have like completely integrated the wildlings into his army, and they would have been like training, and he would have had all of the forts of the wall built up, and all of the things that John like wanted to do in A Dance with Dragons would be done. Like he would have built all of the walls up, like all whatever 19 forts would be fully manned. All 100,000 wildlings would be like gainfully employed. Like it would be buck wild. Like that's the only thing I could see Stannis doing. Like the Night Fort is completely, like up at full strength and is and he just has massive control of everything. Would be my only, the only thing that he could do for 5 years. But George didn't think it was very realistic. It was one of the big things where he's just like, what's Stannis going to do? I mean, the big things was Dorne and the Iron Isles that did the 5 year gap. But like what would the Dornish aren't going to sit around for 5 years and then have a reaction to Oberyn. So like, that's the big thing. So, but yeah, I guess he would have just built up all the castles, and that's about it, and like integrated the wildlings and had this huge army ready to go. If you're Dany's chief counsel hand and end up with her and Drogon at the end of A Dance with Dragons, what do you suggest to her? I don't think Dany was on a bad path, right? Like,
yeah, but marrying Hisdar, it seemed like the city was peaceful.
She succeeded. That was the weird thing, is she succeeded in everything she wanted to do. She married Hisdar. She brought peace.
The Yunkai were about to leave. They're about to like.
The only thing was like whether or not, she felt a little steamrolled over the fact that she had to open like slave trading and stuff outside her walls and stuff like that. But I guess it was just, bide your time and then try to deal with the Yunkish like once you have peace in Marine. But for the most part, like Dany, surprisingly enough, like did a pretty good job in achieving peace in Marine. Like she had to make some horrible compromises that she was against, like having the slave market and having the fighting pits. But she did in A Dance with Dragons, she did more good than harm, and she was ushering in a new age for Marine. It was actually going really well. And then fucking Drogon jumping on Drogon.
I'm gonna be the crude asshole here, dude. Fuck Marine. She should have gone back to Pentos when Illyrio sent Barristan to grab her, and then she'd be there with Tyrion and fake Aegon and the Golden Company, and they could have taken Westeros. I'm sick of Mo Resnack, and fuck off, Mo, fuck off. I'm sick of this crap. Who the Harpy is? Fuck it. Just go back.
Sick of fuck off, Mo, fuck off. Man,
I'm sick of we love Resnack.
Oh,
my friends love Resnick.
Who's the Harpy? Fuck it, that's who. Just go back.
Galara, the Green Grace, Galara. Yeah. But I don't know if I could give her like better advice. She was doing a pretty good job. She was making peace with allies. She was I mean, what the only other thing you could do is just be like, well, I'm going to take I guess, learn to ride your dragon. I would have had her spend more time riding her dragons. Like, you can't get on Drogon, but you got a couple more dragons in the basement. Like, start riding that shit. And then once she's riding dragons, she can do whatever she wants. She she can bend bend Yunkai to her will and stuff like that. So maybe that was it. I'd tell her to ride her dragons more.
Freeing slaves is woke. Go back to Westeros. Come on,
Yeah.
get it done.
Man, oh man. If only it's the world we live in now, where if you act racist enough online, people will send you money. That's the world we live.
What? Where did that come from? It's so random.
Because I thought you were talking about the Jubilee debate.
Oh, I don't really talk about
Oh,
that anymore.
God.
Shit.
Oh God. Really?
Let's see. What's your favorite A Song of Ice and Fire folktale? The problem with so many of the folktales is that we don't know what they are. Like you just kind of hear like a random little thing about them, and you're like, oh, like what? Like Simeon Star Eyes. You're like, okay, he fought some hellhounds or something. What exactly did he do? Well, we don't know. And what happened to Danny Flint? I don't know. You know. Do we know any of the folk tales? Like
I
at
don't
all?
even think about it like Florian the Fool and stuff like that. Like, right, we don't know much about him. Like, they're never like where we actually hear a full story. We just kind of hear details, bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the only one we have like perfect is like Clarence Crabbe. Is that the only one we get?
Yeah. Wait, how could I forget Clarence Crabbe? We have like a lot of details about that. My favorite character.
Yeah, Sir Galadon, the Perfect Knight. You know, I guess that's okay. This is very hurtful. Preston made the perfect video series on Karth, and now he's doubting himself. Does anything matter anymore? It's true. So far behind, but yeah. Okay. It's like, okay. Robert Aaron. Will one of his outbursts or tantrums trigger an avalanche? Like they're there at the gates of the moon, and then he does something crazy, and then an avalanche comes down and like buries all of the Vale Lords. Man, that would be depressing. Like the whole thing is we're kind of waiting for the Vale to like join in and waiting for Dorne to join in, right? They're like the last unspent forces. And if you're gonna have like a force destroy the Vale that's been seeded already, like you choose the mountain clans, right? You'd have them like all like attack and murder everybody or something. So I don't know if I would have I'd have Sweet Robin have an avalanche. Like the giant snow off the giant's lance just comes down and just fucking kills everybody. Man, that would be, and that's the last we see of Sansa. Like,
That's so cruel. Oh my God.
I'd be out of nowhere. People would just be like, what? What?
Oh, I love this comment here from James. Wouldn't that violate the guest right? Yes. Yes, it would. Sweet Robin's avalanche kills all the lords. Yes, it would violate the guest right. That is correct, James.
Yes, the avalanche is yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll see about his powers. Like we kind of put it in the fanfic a little bit of like hint that maybe he's the one that caused Harry the Heir to get stabbed in the dick. But you know, so we'll see how it goes. But man, him having a tantrum and bringing on an avalanche and killing everyone, that would be really depressing for people. I think people would be very angry. But yeah, if you're gonna have something in the Vale, like kill everybody, have it be the mountain clans. All right, making my progress. Almost there. Oh gosh. And so I know people are burning, like they're asking for Berserk with the boys. You know, the 9 people. Uh,
Oh.
you think we'll have time this week, Trey? You got time this week?
I have all time this week. Yeah, for if people are asking for Berserk with the boys, of course.
I mean, we're here at the good part apparently. Cannot wait for good times talking about, you know, hanged women birthing babies. You know, that's the best way to start a story. Thank you for helping translate Carmine. On this, by the way. So last week, we were discussing at some point, you want a good girl, but you need a bad pussy.
Oh my god! Oh my god! This
Yeah,
is
was there
so.
a payoff to this?
Oh my god!
So
He's so embarrassing. Oh my god!
I mean, maybe we should do a full video of this because, like,
No.
I started, you know, VPNing to different countries and checking what it is in different countries. And I don't want to give it away, but like different countries translate it very differently, very differently. Sometimes harsher and more vulgar, like in a more vulgar sense, and then sometimes washing over it in the most like vanilla sense, where you're just like, oh, that wasn't anything. Like, you know, that sucks. But the point being, they're not translating it as bad pussy in other countries. They're translating it specific and unique to the culture.
Except for one country. Craig, guess what country actually made it somehow more vulgar? Guess which country, Trey? You can see from Preston's smirk that you should know the answer to this, Trey. What country is it? What do you think? Judging by Preston's smirk and my reaction.
Is it Greek or something? What is?
I wish.
I know the Greeks.
I sent it
really
to him
vulgar.
like it's Brazil. It's Brazil or Portuguese. Yes.
Okay, that would be the second option. Oh my god.
Greek. What did you get that from?
I don't know. I learned so many nasty, dirty things in Greece. All these dirty words. They have like specific words.
Let me clear this up for you, the audience. So this fucking guy randomly out of the blue sends me a clip, the bad pussy clip, which, if you don't remember, it's basically Tyene Sand saying to Bronn, "You want the good girl, but you need the bad." Yeah. And apparently Preston undertook like what was it, hours to go through this scene through different languages, and of course he landed on Brazilian Portuguese, and it was the one that was like the most vulgar. And what was it in other languages? I think you sent me a message here. What was it? I'm trying to find it. Where did you? We had it. Oh, right here. You said it here. So the Spanish version has "You need a rebellious woman." The Chinese version has.
You're giving away the video, man. If we, I want to like sit. I mean, I don't know if it'll get copyright struck if I like show all the little clips for like 10 seconds, but we sit down, like we can do a video of like us like watching the different countries and reacting. But if you care, but
I mean, it's not even my favorite scene. I kind of wish you found my favorite. My favorite scene is the one from season 1 where Robert and Ned have that argument about having Daenerys killed. I don't even know how I would say that in Portuguese. Where's V2 when you need him? Preston's editor, V2, who's Brazilian. How would you even say that in Portuguese? How do you say whore in Portuguese? Hold on. I don't even know. Which I think is good on me for not knowing. Prostitute. Oh, that sucks. How would you even say that scene? Can you find it for me and clip it, Preston, in Portuguese?
Which one? What is it again?
The one where Ned and Robert have their fight. It's the one, episode 6 maybe. Robert starts off the scene by going, "The whore is pregnant."
Oh, okay.
Pregnant.
Yeah, I love that whole small council scene. I don't even know how that would sound in Portuguese.
Well, that's the question. Is are there other scenes besides the bad pussy line that you'd want that you're curious about the translation of? Is there anything
Oh,
else?
most of season 1, man. Oh, Arya and Tywin. Arya and Tywin. What killed him? Loyalty. I want to know what that is in Portuguese.
Okay.
You gotta find it for me because I'm
And
trying to
you're going to
think
be
in my
really
head.
disappointed when they're like what killed him, and it's like getting fucked in the ass, and you're like, what the fuck? Why are the Portuguese so fucking vulgar? Like, what? I don't understand. Oh my god, that completely changes the scene.
How would you? I'm really trying to think of how that would even. How?
The finger in the bum scene. Oh god.
How would you even?
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
actually, really, I'm curious. Fuck, I hate that you made me curious. Eu falei com você, isso acontecer back no North. Eu falei com você, mas você não queria saber. Mas agora você vai saber agora. Eu quero os dois mortos. I guess that's how you would say that, but... well. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
We could do the whole podcast in a different language if you want.
Yeah, quick question. Are you aware of the YouTube Game of Thrones podcast clipping your videos? Is that you and your team? That's Carmine. That's just Carmine. That's fine.
It's Carmine and my team, yeah.
Yeah, it's Carmine.
Are you
Carmine.
aware of
Carmine
the
and
fucking
his
Carmine? It's Carmine and the team, yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
But yeah, it's obviously like Carmine and Trey like call in out of the kindness of their hearts. So like obviously like anytime they want to make random clips, like it's fine.
You're allowed to do that because, and Trey, you're allowed to do this too because it's your voice right there. I actually asked, and I can throw this in because someone actually asked you a question, Preston. I don't think you saw it, about David Reed's A Song of Ice and Fire. So I have the company I'm aligned with. They have contacts at YouTube. So whenever I have a major question about the YouTube workings of YouTube, I ask the company. The company asks YouTube. So I asked them, like, would it be okay if I did this? And they're like, yeah, your voice is in it, and you work with Preston all the time. It's fine. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
as long as Preston is cool with it, which you are. On that regard, did you see what happened to David Reed's A Song of Ice and Fire, Trey?
I did hear about this. Yeah,
it's really sad.
I reached out to him, and the reason I bring this up is because I'm gonna try to connect it to wins. I reached out to him to see if I could help because this is something I do every now and then. Whenever YouTubers I'm aware of have copyright issues, I try to reach out and help. I did it with SF Debris. I did it with Supercut the Lights. I did it with Preston, and I reached out to David. He kind of got back to me, not really. I can't really help him if I don't know like what's really happening because who striked him? Was it YouTube? Was it George's company? Was it the publishing company? I don't know anything.
What's very weird, I read up on what happened. So he got 2 strikes, which obviously like so David Reed's A Song of Ice and Fire, like he literally read all of the fucking books. And he's a pretty good voice actor. He read the whole thing, voice acting. And then he started doing like Clan of the Cave Bear and some other books. And, and this was just something he was doing for fun. He didn't even monetize it. It was all for free. He didn't monetize it at all. It was just something he did for fun. And so he got 2 of the videos copyright struck. I'm not sure who did it, but 2 of the videos were copyright struck. And as you like, creators know if you get 3 copyright strikes, they shut down your channel. So whoever did it knew to stop short of the 3rd. But they he unlisted all of the he unlisted and deleted all of the recordings. And then he's like, fuck, all of that work I did where like I deleted it all. Like, fuck. And he didn't have any of his, he didn't have it on any of his own hard drives. Oh. Some of his fans were like, no, we have it. And they gave it all back to him. And so now he has it again. And so if you go to his Twitter, you can, he has a link to where you can still listen to it all. So it's still there. If you want to listen to it, you can. It's just not on YouTube. And he wants to now focus on reading something public domain, like perhaps like Sherlock Holmes or something, or people that have their own books in writing that he wants to read. But that's what he's going to do in the future. Now he's just going to focus on reading public domain works.
So about this, like I said, I reached out to him. I don't know if he's one of those guys that randomly hates us. Preston, you know what I'm talking about. Like random ass YouTubers will hate us for no reason. I don't know if he's one of those people. I reached out to try to help. I haven't heard back, so what the fuck are you going to do? But I do know a little bit about this topic. So again, years ago, I kind of wanted to do something similar that David was doing. And I reached out to the company. The company reached out to YouTube. And they gave me like a weird response. They said, probably don't do it, because sometimes YouTube will come down on you on behalf of the publishing company. Sometimes it'll be George's company, and sometimes it'll be who publishes Ice and Fire now. It's not Bantam Books anymore, right? It's Random Penguin House. What is it? Who publishes it? You should know. You have the stuff tattooed on you.
I thought it was Penguin. I don't know.
Wasn't it Bantam Books at one point?
This was Bantam at a time, maybe.
Because that's the ones I have. I have the ones from Bantam. But no. The problem is that because people were asking,
check out
he
Fire
did
and Blood.
He did it for years, but why now? Well,
right. Why not?
reasons.
I mean, that's the thing. His readings have been up for literally years, like 5 years. Yeah.
Right. So why now? I think there's two reasons. The first is that he became way too big. They do not give a fuck about some random person with 5 subscribers doing this. But he's now at 31,000 subscribers. He's become way too big for them to ignore. The second reason could possibly be Winds of Winter is on the way, baby.
That's some cope right there.
That's some cope.
Let me sniff this cope. God, copium. Let me sniff it. Give it to me, the copium, right in my veins, please. Let me have this, Trey. Preston, let me have it.
I know. All right, this is my last super chat. My throat is hurting me. I gotta head to bed. Who are your favorite Democratic presidential candidates? First of all, the first thing I'd like to say is I think all of the people that have run for president as Democrats and for the past generation have been fine, wonderful candidates who have been infinitely better than the fucking horrible fascist alternatives that we fucking had. Like how the world got this way, where you have like reasonable candidate. I don't know. There's this Monty Python skit about the reasonable candidates versus the super silly candidates, and the super silly candidates keep winning, and you're like, fuck. But now it's like completely reasonable candidate and just the worst fucking shit ever. Oh my God, the world, like how did we get here? So I like them all. I'm not going to talk any bad trash about Kamala or Hillary or Obama. I'm just not going to, because I think one of the big problems with the world right now is that left-wingers, no candidate is good enough for them, and right-wingers, no candidate is bad enough for them. They will vote for anybody. And we see that they'll vote for anybody. While people have this purity test on the left, and where somebody has to be perfect. So I'm going to say right now that like almost all, the Democrats past generation have been great. They've been great. I would have preferred all of them. All of them would have been great leaders. Who did I think was the best? Honestly, Al Gore was probably the smartest, most pure-hearted person that ran for president in the past generation, and he would have been a fantastic fucking president, and but sadly we don't live in that world or that universe. But nonetheless, I'm fine with all of them, but it's Al Gore is probably the best one of them all. It's just too bad, too bad we didn't get him, and we ended up in this fucking world.
Can I add something to what you just said about how
Hmm.
the purity testing, all that? I
Yeah,
didn't know this until like a while ago. But did you? So I'm not going to mention Voldemort, but
yeah,
one of the reasons that some of the left got on Kamala's case was that she didn't meet with the Gazan protesters and leaders and whatnot. That's actually not true. So apparently, on August 7th, before her Detroit rally, she spoke with the co-founders of Uncommitted National Movement, which mobilized tens of thousands of voters in Michigan to withhold their votes from Biden in the primary earlier that year. And she actually met with them, and she got their contact information for them to speak further. The reason I bring this up is because you have a lot of these guys who wanted to protest vote Kamala because she didn't give enough respect to the protest leaders. She did. The problem is the goalpost always moves with these people. It's nothing is ever good
nothing's
enough.
ever good enough, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ever, 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 ever. So
Yeah.
what the fuck?
I mean, it's human beings. Like there's a lot of issues going on why the world's falling apart. Like part of it is internet and misinformation and people just believing what they want to believe. Like facts don't matter anymore. A lot is entitlement culture. Like as YouTube creators, like how many of us have fucking like worked our ass off on some fucking video, and then some fucking comment is like, what an unprofessional like piece of shit like kind of comment like in the comment section. It's like, what did you fucking expect from fucking YouTube? We're just dudes making videos on our computer. Like, what did you fucking want? Do you want
Yeah.
fucking Citizen Kane? Like, Jesus fucking Christ, you entitled piece of shit. Like, just sitting at home, like being like, not great. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? So there's a lot of entitlement. Like, I'm not getting exactly what I want now. I'm not getting exactly what I want now. Therefore, I'm not voting for you. Like, there's a lot of that shit. There's a lot of people just voting on vibes, like that kind of shit.
That's the most idiotic thing ever.
No.
Holy shit. There was I know people are gonna hiss when I say this, but it's not important. Destiny was having a debate with this one guy, this Gen X guy, this white guy who was, he didn't vote for Trump, or so he says. But the reason the guy didn't vote for Kamala is because affirmative action. He was not comfortable having Kamala come into the presidency because affirmative action would have negatively impacted his kids. Bro, you sound so fucking stupid. There's no shot your kids are ever going to get to go to a big college. I don't think you need to worry about affirmative action. It's all these mental gymnastics people are doing.
Oh, sure. It's when you have an opinion. So this is the thing: is logically speaking, like we should exist as scientists where we find data and then the data leads to a conclusion. But that's not how most people function. Most people function as they have a conclusion and then they just find random shit to re-support it over and over again. And they discard stuff that goes against it. So it's just, having studied economics, I see it a lot. Like people, like you'll be talking about like, well, okay, what's the best policy? And then people will focus on one little thing. Like, well, how does that affect wages? Or how does that affect prices? And you're like, well, you've got to look at all of the things. You can't just cherry pick. But that's what people do, is they have an opinion and then they cherry pick little items. And it gets so easy to cherry pick items when the internet is filled with misinformation and people that agree with you and whatever fact you want. Whatever fact you want is there on the internet to support you. And which is really hard. Like, say you're having to make a really hard decision about, I don't know, like say you have a medical procedure that you have to make a difficult decision about, and you're weighing the risks. The problem is like you have like the real scientific data, but then you're going to have fake scientific data. Then you're going to have people that are on one side throwing out information and misinformation. Then you have people on the other side throwing out information and misinformation. And what are you going to run into? And what are you going to what are you going to, if you have a bias, you're just going to keep finding that bias and be supported by the bias. Like, say you're thinking about having a medical procedure, or you're thinking about having a medical procedure, but like you're leaning towards not having it. Well, now every time you run into somebody that's like, oh, you totally shouldn't have it, that's going to reinforce over and over again. And you're like, oh yeah. You search for the answer that you want. And it's kind of hit us, like, I don't know if there's a solution. I think we're just kind of doomed as humanity. I don't know. Not to mention, like, AI is just getting dumber and dumber, and people are just relying on it more and more. And they're so fucking lazy. People are so fucking lazy that I don't know what to do anymore. It's depressing. It's depressing. Cut things off with a woman I dated briefly. Too much drama. She's been texting all day. Should I respond? Help her get closure or stay silent?
Stay silent.
I mean,
probably stay silent.
Yeah. The thing is I know that, like, staying silent is I know staying silent is the lazy thing to do. And I would personally stay silent, probably because it's the lazy thing to do. It's the non-confrontational thing to do. But I think I agree that it is also the better thing to do. I think it's, should you scratch this itch and like you try to talk to this person, they're gonna like keep trying to talk to you. And
so true.
Yeah. Like, what are you expecting to get out of it?
Right. I think the world has come around to silence being a message now. Like, there's no like, oh, I'm being rude kind of thing. Like, people now understand that, like, you text a girl, hey, you want to hang out sometime? And she doesn't text you back. That's your answer. Like, no. Okay. Like, before that would be rude to not respond to somebody. But now we kind of all understand what that is. I think now people understand that, like, when you don't text back, what the message is. So, I mean, yeah, you could be text back like, yeah, great. I'm not that interested. Thank you. But she might text back again. And then it's just, you're just fucking in it again. Yeah, I know.
Sorry. It's just, no, he said to me, thank you, abortion, bro. Never do that again. Fuck you. Never do that again. No, man, no contact all the way. You also have to debate, like, do you put up with the headache, and how nice is that ass? Like, you really have to judge. Like, is it worth it? You know what I'm saying? Like, Trey knows what I'm talking. Preston, he's been out of the game for too long. Trey knows what I'm talking about. Like, every hot chick has that one guy who can't stand her, but is that ass worth it?
I was very briefly in a relationship, and he said some extremely nasty things, and we barely started dating, and it's just like, but
if that person came back and was like,
what's not even worth it?
But if they came back and was like, I'm sorry, I'll blow you, what would you, they hot enough for you to let that go?
In my mind, I was like, you lost the right to talk to me. You said some things that were so hurtful, and that you must have been thinking it even when we weren't arguing, it's like personal attacks that you're like, man.
Oh, it was like a little too in the chamber already, ready to go.
Yes. Yeah. He was like, I listened to you complain about your cushy rich boy life, and you're like, man,
rich
sorry,
boy, eh?
sorry, my problems are too much for you.
Wow.
Not in my way. Rich boy, you say?
You're just like,
yeah.
To the guy who said frat boy Carmine, bro, we're men. We're gross. Leave me alone.
Carmine's the farthest thing from a frat boy I can think of.
Thank you.
That is, yeah.
On my back.
The farthest thing for a frat boy I can think of. I mean, I understand that, like, yeah.
Yeah, man. God, can we start banning these people? Hey, get out of here. What's the matter with you?
No. It's just I mean, I guess I can understand the misunderstanding only in the sense because of Carmine is trying to be like a regular Joe.
Bro, I'm one of you
Sometimes
guys. I'm an American. I'm one of you guys. Eat the
I
burger.
I
My
I
thumb
am
is
an
up all the time.
American. I am. Have you ever seen? Oh my god! Like I think the funniest, the whitest kids you know video is called "Bill Comes Back from Vietnam." It is so good.
Oh, I think I've seen this one. Yeah.
Oh my god! And it's just like Bill comes back from Vietnam, and they're like, Bill seems a little different, and it's clearly a Vietnamese guy dressed up as him, and he's like,
Yeah, yeah.
"It's me, Bill, Mickey Mouse America, Elvis Presley." You're like,
Every time I feel like because I don't speak often unless it's to my mom, and every time I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm feeling more American. Preston fucking Kool-Aid Man right through my fucking house, and he goes, "Hey Carmine, look at this." The other day he sent me a picture. Don't say the name on the Coke bottle, but he sent me a picture of a Coke bottle with like a foreign name. Does this look familiar? I'm like, dude, I swear to God, bro. Every time with Preston, just every time.
by
Don't
the
say the
way,
name on the
by
Coke.
the way, you're speaking of like people not worth the effort, but did you hear the news that they tracked down Sydney Sweeney, registered Republican in Florida?
Oh, oh my.
I'm gonna stay quiet on this because you're not gonna like what I have to say about this. I'm gonna stay quiet. You're not gonna like this one.
You're like, is it worth it? Like you're like, I mean,
Look,
the thing is not like that's not like I registered Republican back under W or something, and it's just been lingering. It was like you chose to do that in 2024. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you in
okay.
2024?
You know what? Okay. Can I play devil's advocate? Is that okay?
No, what?
All those Nazi memes that were using her, like when Elon Musk was like using her face and like for his Nazi memes, she was actually like,
She's got that ad. She's got
Let,
that great ad with
let me
Abercrombie
try.
or whatever. She's
I'm
a
not defending
eugenics thing
her.
or something.
I agree with you that it looks bad, but I'm also going to use your words against you, Preston.
okay,
Who gives a fuck what a celebrity votes for or is registered to? If you're going to celebrities for your opinion on political candidates,
mm-hmm.
then you're in. But here's the thing, though. She hasn't said anything yet. Until she does, she's allowed to do that. Until she starts doing commercials for Alligator Alcatraz instead of the blue jeans, okay. But until then, I mean, she's just a hot blonde that's captured America's attention right now. Her and Pedro Pascal, the other person who gets paid unnecessarily.
Different. Yeah, you're right. The other ends of the spectrum.
Right, exactly. By the way, have you noticed how it's Sydney Sweeney's turn? Because when you were a young man, it was Pamela Anderson. When I was in high school, it was Megan Fox. A couple of years ago, it was Margot Robbie. Now
Well,
it's Sydney
sure.
Sweeney.
Well, of course. There's
Every
always
couple of years.
there's always a hottie of the time. I mean, what we're going to start saying like, oh, there's Twiggy, and there was Elizabeth Taylor. Oh my God. What was I mean, there's the whole fucking scene in Shawshank Redemption about how he keeps getting the poster of the hot girl of the day.
Mm.
Yeah. Soaking in Greece, looking for a 2-week trip. Looking for a 2-week trip in Greece. What would you recommend doing? I've been to Greece, but I've only been to Athens and Rhodes. I'm not really familiar with the islands too well. Trey, you spent time there?
I did. I only flew into Athens and then flew into Thessaloniki. I would definitely recommend northern Greece, like Thessaloniki, Bergina. Like that's the thing is like a lot of Athens I've heard is like really, it's very busy. It's very packed. And then,
yeah, a lot of people
like,
go to like, I think the different islands. I know that like Corfu is like the party island and things like that. And it's funny, as one of my best friends is Greek, and she would have a million things to say about each of the islands. But like, yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It depends on what you like. Like if you're partying, you stay in the islands. But if you like the archaeology history, I'd recommend Northern Greece. Northern Greece, like it's a hidden gem because like there's
Yeah, no
really,
one's
really well preserved stuff that nobody visits because it's Northern Greece and it's seen as the less sexy part of the country.
a lot of nature, up there. Okay. Man, I told stop with the fucking super chats. I'm trying to fucking go to bed. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. I've
Who do
done
you
like
think is the
5
one
after
knocking on
this.
Preston's window? It's his wife. He wants him to hurry the fuck up.
Someone fucked up and gave the others a female baby. Night King retrieved her but didn't kill her. Everyone teams up to kill her so others can't reproduce. That's a good idea. I mean, in the sense that, like, it's ridiculous that the Night King is like fucking a female other, but the idea that they spotted a female other and and the Night King was trying to protect her, and everybody else decides that they want to like kill her because he's like harboring this like this female other and not wanting to be executed. It's an interesting idea. That's the real reason they wanted to fucking take him down is that you've got the only female other. But I just think the most logical thing about the Night King is just that it was a wildling. He fucking married a wildling, rather than having his penis frozen off. Preston, stop coughing / aging and finish the fanfic. I found a lump on one of my balls. Oh no.
What?
No, oh, shit.
No.
No pressure. Also, Sydney Sweeney is innocent until the list comes out. Fair enough. Yes, I know. It's one thing about this job is a lot of comments on the way I look. I'll tell you that. Trey, you're young and you get a lot of positive comments, but I get older and people. I think the other day somebody said Carmine showed a picture of me with George, and somebody's like, "Oh my God, Preston aged 20 years since that picture with George."
It's so mean. What the hell?
Right?
I get mean stuff too. I get mean comments too.
The fuck mean comments do you get? I love you, Trey. I love you to death, but some of the mean comments you get are, "Hey, Trey, man, I couldn't make it through the full video." That's it by the extent, man. You don't get that many mean comments.
They find stuff. They find stuff that you're self-conscious about on your face or whatever. People are like that.
I mean, that's what they do. That's what they're searching out for. They're looking for a reaction, right? But yeah. So there it is. It's a funny thing. Like when anytime somebody calls me old, I'm always like, I measure age like days until death, rather than days from birth. And I think I'll outlive like a lot of you motherfuckers. Like.
Yeah, probably.
As I say, as I'm dying right here. I think someone's answer to the person that was like, Preston aged 20 years. They're like, he has kids. That'll do it. That'll do it to him. That kind of thing. What you gonna do? Though I do have to say when I look at like other people that I went to school with and such, I'm always like, oh, actually, like anytime you feel like bad, you like just like go onto Facebook, whatever, look at your classmates from high school or college. You'll feel a lot better.
Oh, that's cold.
I'm just saying I'm just saying like on average, like, a lot of people let themselves go. I'm not saying everyone. Some people look fucking great, but some people are just like, oh my God, that guy looks like the fucking crypt keeper now. That guy.
Oh my God.
That guy, like, how is that possible? All right. Thank you, Trey. Thank you, Carmine. Thank you, anyone that gave me a super chat at the end here, but I just don't have any time and I got to get to bed. But thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Griffin. Um, I will. I'll be back. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to do next week, but I think I might be traveling. But I will have to figure it out. But maybe we'll do some Berserk with the boys this week, or maybe I'll try to figure out those videos for Bad Pussy. We'll see. All right. I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks a bunch.
See you.